at Soul Summoning Island. The moment he arrived, Qianlai sent La Pu a soul message and told him to come over. La Pu rushed over from another corner of Soul Summoning Island not long after. He was covered in nether demonic energy. Qianlai narrowed his eyes and examined La Pu seriously. He thought to himself, he certainly looks similar to the Abyss Devils. After tempering himself and fighting many Abyss Devils in the Abyss, Qianlai had a clear impression of the Abyss Devils. The memories of his Dark Soul Beast avatar had also deepened his understanding of the Abyss Devils. The more he knew about them, the more he felt that the races of Nether Realm were related to the Abyss Devils. The Dark Nether race especially fit the bill. Purple blood and purple pupils were the unique signatures that belonged to the high-rank Abyss Devils. That was why he suspected that the Dark Nether race had high-rank Abyss Devil blood in their bodies. Have you seen Tang Yuan and his people? La Pu didn't notice Qianlai's strange look when he arrived. The people from Boluo Realm have been sending you messages non-stop as of late. They wish to speak with you in person. I just met them. Qianlai nodded with a smile before changing the subject. Say, didn't you mention that the eight-eyed demon spirit's bloodline is similar to the Nether Realm's race's bloodlines? No, it should be the other way around. La Pu corrected him. It's not just us either. The Azura race and the ancient beast race's bloodlines are similar to the eight-eyed demon spirit's bloodline as well. The eight-eyed demon spirit. Qianlai nodded slowly. After pondering for a moment, he took out a dozen or so transparent glass bottles from his spatial ring. Every single bottle contained a type of a different Abyss Devil's blood. After realizing that the Abyss Devils might be related to the races of Nether Realm, Qianlai had purposely stored some Devil's blood. The rank 7 Hurricane Dragon Devil's dark purple blood was inside one of these bottles too. What is this? La Pu asked. Please inspect them and see if there's anything unusual. Qianlai gave La Pu all the glass bottles before asking, how's the battle situation on the Nether continent? We've stabilized after the Vermilion Bird race had joined the battle. Blue Flame Manor had taken a huge blow and decided to call it quits for now. For now, I doubt they'll try to attack us again, La Pu said. Qianlai relaxed slightly when he heard that the situation at Nether Continent had stabilized. He nodded. That is good to hear. Where did this blood come from? La Pu asked. I'll talk with you about these bottles in detail the next time I arrive. For now, please inspect them, Qianlai said. All right, La Pu nodded. That was all he said before departing for Evil Infant Island. The moment he reached the island, he saw Evil Infant Boy guiding a group of gray island artificers to build a large-scale teleportation formation. Mo Hai, Yao Tai, and Tang Siki were here as well. A big pile of precious spirit materials was nearby. They glowed softly under the moonlight. It's Qianlai, Yao Tai chuckled. Master Yao. Qianlai nodded before walking right next to Tang Siki. Then, he gave her a smile before holding her delicate hands naturally. Tang Siki trembled slightly as her eyes abruptly glowed with tremendous joy. Qianlai seldom took the initiative when it came to relationships. In fact, he was cautious and shy most of the time. He had definitely never held her hand openly in front of everyone until now. Qianlai's proactiveness made her feel very happy. Mo Hai and Evil Infant Boy were crouching on the floor and speaking to each other when they heard Yao Tai's greeting. They hurriedly stood up. When Mo Hai saw that Qianlai had walked up to Tang Siki and held her hand of his own volition, a gratified smile sprung to his face. Mo Hai had always treated Tang Siki like half a daughter. He had never stopped caring for her. He had wanted Qianlai and Tang Siki to have a good ending since a long time ago. That was why Qianlai's action pleased him greatly. What are you guys doing? Qianlai asked carelessly. We're trying to build a large-scale teleportation formation that can connect straight to the central world. Evil Infant Boy inhaled deeply before declaring, I still can't build a secret realm entrance that connects to the realms beyond, but I believe we're capable of building the highest grade teleportation formation possible in the Land of Chaos. Once this teleportation formation is complete, we will be able to build a connection with the powerful forces of the central world. What are the estimated chances of success? Qianlai grew excited. 70%. Evil infant boy said. Qianlai nodded repeatedly as he praised him. Well done. You've met my expectations as promised. Well done. Once this large-scale teleportation formation was complete, he could travel directly to the Nether Continent or interact with Skymender Palace or the G family. He knew that it was only a matter of time before he returned to the central world and took back everything he had lost. Do you need any more special spirit materials? Write them down in a list and I'll do my best to gather them, Qianlai exclaimed. For now, we have everything we need. Flaming Sun Island is wealthy enough to meet all our demands. A hint of pride passed through Tang Siki's face before a sweet smile crossed her lips. Even Celestial Artifact Sect had sent us many spatial formation scriptures without us asking. I guess that Luohan isn't a complete idiot, Evil infant boy snorted coldly. Ever since the Eastern barbarians were destroyed, Illusory Demon Sect and Black Voodoo Cult had declared their intentions to join Flaming Sun Island as vassal forces. Naturally, Celestial Artifact Sect and 10,000 Beast Mountain are aware that they can no longer fight Flaming Sun Island. That's why they are so humble right now. Mohai smiled. He was filled with emotions for a time. When they stepped out of the ultimate blood ground and sneaked their way into the land of chaos a long time ago, they never imagined that they would climb to the very top of the land of chaos one day. However, Qianlai had realized that dream and become the undisputed ruler of the land of chaos in just tens of years. It was about as unlikely as a fairy tale. Mohai couldn't even begin to describe his feelings as he looked at Qianlai right now. Miracles never seemed to be out of the young man's reach. He believed that Qianlai would bring back more pleasant surprises in the future. Siki, please inform Feng Yi of Celestial Artifact Sect, Qiyang of 10,000 Beast Mountain, Jiang and of Black Voodoo Cult and all other leaders of great forces to come to Evil Infant Island as soon as possible, Qianlai said suddenly. What's wrong? Tang Siki's expression changed. Something happened? Is it another foreign invader? Yao Tai grew worried. Shouldn't be. The forces behind the Eastern barbarians haven't made a move after we killed them all. Have they? Evil infant boy looked deeply puzzled. No, it's not a foreign invader. Qianlai shook his head and narrowed his eyes before replying. This time, we are the ones who'll be invading another realm. Are we invading Baluo realm? Tang Siki looked confused. I heard that something big just happened over there. No, it's not Baluo realm. Qianlai smiled. Just send the message. I'll explain things once the leaders have arrived. Okay. Tang Siki nodded. At the Heavenly Fisher Continent. After Feng Yi had received Qin Liai's message, he immediately contacted Qiyang of 10,000 Beast Mountain and requested for a meeting. Qiyang quickly showed up with a group of 10,000 Beast Mountain experts. The last war ended with the 3 great ghoul races and the Eastern barbarians' destruction. After that, Celestial Artifact Sect and 10,000 Beast Mountain obtained a dozen or so islands as spoils of war. Many of their vassal forces were mining resources from those islands already. Both sects had benefited greatly from that war. Qianlai had summoned us, Qiyang said after he arrived. He never does anything small. But what is he planning? Every force in the land of chaos has practically submitted to him, right? I hope he isn't sending us off to fight the forces behind the Eastern barbarians. It's still too early. Feng Yi smiled bitterly before adding, we are no match for the powerful opponents in the central world, even if we're united as one. Not until a true gold rank force appears in the land of chaos. He's not going to make us cannon fodder, is he? Qiyang looked deeply worried. It doesn't seem like his style, not now at least. Feng Yi pondered for a moment. Qianlai has always acted fairly. For example, he didn't hoard all the resources for himself after the Eastern barbarians were killed. He actually kept his promise and shared the spoils with everyone. So, maybe it's a good thing he called us. Shall we go together then? Qiyang asked. Naturally, Feng Yi answered. A Black Voodoo Cult. Jiang and immediately summoned the Gongya brothers and Black Voodoo Cult's soul altar experts after he received the message. It's a message from Qianlai, Jiang said. He's not planning to take revenge, is he? Gongyezhua looked worried. We've invaded the Setting Sun Islands multiple times in the past 10 years or so. He isn't plotting against us after the 3 great ghoul races and the Eastern barbarians have been dealt with, is he? We've publicly declared our intentions to join Flaming Sun Island as a vassal force. There's no way they would suddenly change their minds. Gongya shook his head. He's probably summoned us for something else. I wish to obtain the voodoo progenitor's remains, Jiang'an said solemnly. The soul altar experts fell silent when they heard this. Their expressions were odd to say the least. Will he give it to us? Gongya murmured a while later. He gave Shueli the blood progenitor's remains and Miao Fengtian the corpse progenitor's remains. Jiang'an's eyes sparkled with pitch-black light. He's a lot more generous than you think. The reason I'm telling you all this is because I need an answer. Is this the right choice? Pope, are you confident in your chances of reaching the Genesis realm without the voodoo progenitor's remains? Gongya asked seriously. Jiang'an frowned and fell silent for a long time. In the end, he shook his head and sighed. I'm too old already. I don't think I have the lifespan to make it on my own. If that's the case, then I support your decision, Pope. Gongya eyes looked bright. There are billions and billions of human martial practitioners in spirit realm, but there are few who ever made it to the Genesis realm. Plus, the voodoo progenitor is the very origin of our sect. I believe that merging with his body may be the most suitable future for you. Let's go. Jiang'an nodded slightly. He had made up his mind. At Whitebone Island of the ruined lands, Qianlai felt secretly surprised as he stared at the gray island artificers working inside clumps of well-built stone buildings. Whitebone Island was right next to Evil Infant Island and Soul Summoning Island. It used to be the Whitebone Demon Monarch's territory. After Xianxia arrived at the ruined lands, he chased Whitebone Demon Monarch out of his own island and claimed it for himself. He then renamed it Blood Fiend Island. In the past, Whitebone Island was always shrouded in corpse aura because Miao Fengtian used to refine corpse demons here. It wasn't a good place for any martial practitioners who cultivated the orthodox spirit arts to stay. After that, Flaming Sun Island, Blood Fiend sect and other forces worked together to deal a severe blow to the 3 great ghoul races and crush the 3 great families. Xianxia then went back to the heavenly calamity continent with his blood drinkers. As a result, the ownership of Whitebone Island was transferred to Qianlai. It was made into part of Flaming Sun Island. Not long after Mo Hai, Tang Siki, Yao Tai, and other artificers arrived, they discovered that there were 2 dormant volcanoes on the island, so they decided to use it. They treated Whitebone Island as part of Grey Island and built many artificer pavilions across the land. Since Miao Fengtian had left, the corpse aura that constantly shrouded Whitebone Island gradually dissipated. The island had regained its former appearance since. There were many ancient trees on the island, and the spirit energy surrounding the island was surprisingly rich. Whenever the artificers got tired while building the large-scale teleportation formation on Evil Infant Island, they would come to Whitebone Island and take a rest. Tang Siki brought Qianlai here after she had sent a message to all leaders in Qianlai's name. I just remembered something. Qianlai asked, did you message Xianxia? If not, please tell him to come along as well. Of course I did. Tang Siki smiled brightly. I knew you weren't prejudiced against Xianxia, so I had invited him along as well. Plus, he and his forces were very effective during the final war against the Eastern barbarians and the ghoul races. Her eyes lit up slightly after a pause. I'm not sure why, but Xianxia is surprisingly docile when he's around you. Everyone finds it strange. Everyone? Who do you mean exactly? Qianlai asked in surprise. Sister Tingyu, Uncle Li, and Uncle Duan. They all thought that Xianxia acts excessively obedient and cautious around you. It's very unusual, Tang Siki explained. They all say that Xianxia is an arrogant man who treats everyone with disdain, including the number 1 cultivator of the Land of Chaos, Forefather Terminator. However, he is unusually concerned about Flaming Sun Island's affairs, and he always lends a helping hand when Flaming Sun Island is in trouble. Tang Siki smiled. They all think that you share some sort of mysterious understanding with Xianxia in private. Qianlai rubbed his chin and thought for a moment. Then he nodded slightly and replied, You're not wrong. He had a vague idea that there exists a strange connection between Xianxia and the god race. Xianxia quite obviously curried favor with him because he had the god race's bloodline. He didn't know if his relationship with Xianxia would suddenly break off one day. But he grew less and less concerned as his strength grew. This was especially true after he had merged with the Dark Soul Beast's avatar. He had a rank 9 Dark Soul Beast avatar and tens of Soul Sultar servants right now. This power alone was the equal of a normal god rank force in the Central World. This power could wipe out even the great races of Boluo realm, much less the forces of the Land of Chaos. After he had merged with the Dark Soul Beast's avatar, his horizon had expanded beyond the Land of Chaos. Oh right, how's your cultivation lately? He threw out a random question. You know that my interest lies in artifact forging, so I didn't really bother with martial cultivation. Tang Siki looked a little embarrassed. That's why I'm still at the late stage of the fulfillment realm, and it'll be a while before I reach the fragmentation realm. That being said, I can refine a heaven-grade spirit artifact all on my own now. Heaven-grade spirit artifacts. Qinlai nodded slightly. He was thinking if his thing was effective on Tang Siki. Zhuangjing possessed the Serene Moon race's bloodline. After he had sexual intercourse with her, her bloodline became incredibly active and improved her bloodline powers. Tang Siki and Song Tingyu were pure humans though. They didn't have any unusual bloodline in them. He wasn't sure if it would be useful to Tang Siki. So far, the only way he thought that would be of help to Tang Siki and Song Tingyu's cultivation was to transform them into soul servants with the Dark Soul Beast avatar. This way, he could gift them an infinite amount of pure soul energy and quicken their martial cultivation. However, if anything were to happen to his Dark Soul Beast avatar, Tang Siki and Song Tingyu would instantly perish as well. It was an unavoidable consequence. I should consider this carefully. After pondering for a moment, he decided not to act recklessly and find another way to improve their strength. A moment of hesitation later, Tang Siki said, "What I really need is those mysterious ancient spirit diagrams. I can draw most of the ancient spirit diagrams you gave me already." The ancient spirit diagrams. Qinlai's eyes lit up. He had neglected his exploration of the ancient spirit diagrams because he was busy fusing with the eight-eyed demon spirit's bloodline and the Dark Soul Beast's avatar. Tang Siki made him realize something. A large amount of soul energy and enlightened soul origin was necessary to unlock the inner space of the soul-suppressing orb. In the past, he was lacking in both quantity and quality of the soul. As a result, he could only enter the third space of the soul-suppressing orb. But he was different now. He had reached the Nirvana realm, and his soul had become a lot stronger than before. He had even merged with the Dark Soul Beast and obtained a powerful avatar. He immediately said to Tang Siki after thinking up till this point, "I need to find a private room for cultivation. Tell them to wait for me if I don't come out by the time they arrive." "Okay, I'll guide you there." Tang Siki hurriedly showed the way. It wasn't long before Qinlai was sitting still, holding his breath and focusing his thoughts in an underground private room at the shores to the south of Whitebone Island. He then tried to enter the soul-suppressing orb's fourth space after condensing his soul energy. Refined soul energy covered in lightning flashed inside the soul-suppressing orb's inner space. The first space of the soul-suppressing orb was a borderless space. There was literally nothing in there. The second space contained the basic ancient spirit diagrams and the frost concept diagram. The third space contained a gigantic web that was made up of many middle-grade ancient spirit diagram. When his soul thoughts passed through the holes in the web, he arrived in front of a ball of white light. He knew that the white light was a soul barrier that blocked the way to the next space. ZZZT. He kept condensing his tremendous soul thoughts until they slowly transformed into a sword. The sword rumbled like thunder and contained a tremendous amount of turbulent soul energy. Swoosh! The soul sword stabbed fiercely into the barrier of white light. He felt as if his soul consciousness was passing through a long, dazzling river. An instant later, the soul-suppressing orb's fourth space appeared before his eyes. His soul consciousness transformed back into a miniature version of his true soul. Qinlai examined his surroundings curiously, as his soul shadow slowly floated across the new space. To his surprise, it looked similar to the Chaos Blood realm. There were no sky, earth, or stars in this borderless space. However, there was a gentle light. Many translucent bubbles were suspended inside this space. The gentle light came from them. The surface of the bubbles was made of many amazing and complicated high-grade ancient spirit diagrams. It was either a lone spirit diagram or a combination of a few. Most of the bubbles held nothing inside. Some of them held things that Qianlai were familiar with though. The 6 spirits of void and chaos. The voodoo progenitor's body and the cursed progenitor's body were all present. The bubble that held the voodoo progenitor's body was covered in mysterious spirit diagram lines. They slowly imprinted themselves onto the voodoo progenitor's body and soul altar as if they were controlled by an invisible force. The bubble was like a furnace or an invisible life form. It seemed to be refining the voodoo progenitor by engraving the miraculous high-grade spirit diagrams onto the corpse's body and soul altar. The voodoo progenitor himself showed no reaction whatsoever. Qianlai only needed a glance to know that the voodoo progenitor had been successfully refined. Its body and soul altar were fully covered by a network of ancient spirit diagrams. The 6 spirits of void and chaos were enveloped inside a translucent, glowing bubble each. However, no mysterious ancient spirit diagram lines could be seen on the surface of this bubbles. Qianlai knew it was because the 6 spirits of void and chaos were marked since birth. Hence, there was no need to repeat the procedure. The fire spirit looked like it had finished a cycle of evolution. The half-translucent body of the fire Qilin was covered in many mysterious ancient characters that were unique to the race of spirits of void and chaos. They were inheritance marks. He could see that the fire spirit was absorbing the memory of inheritance. This meant that the fire spirit had probably entered its race's chaos blood realm and was absorbing the racial memories in its bloodline. When the fire spirit awakened in the future, it would officially ascend to rank 7 and obtain many bloodline memories. On the other hand, the thunder spirit, wood spirit, metal spirit, water spirit, and earth spirit were obviously still in the middle of their evolution cycle. The mysterious characters surrounding their bodies were still blurry because they hadn't manifested in full. He knew immediately that the rest of the spirits of void and chaos would probably still be stuck in this limbo for a very long time. Is there a 5th space inside the soul-suppressing orb? His expression turned puzzled. He saw an empty bubble while he was floating inside this space. He made a hand with soul energy and tried to touch the bubble. Swoosh! In an instant, his soul was sucked into the bubble. Qianlai felt as if he had traveled into another realm. This new space was covered in countless mysterious lines. The threads of light were as thin as hair, but they numbered by the billions and were present everywhere. As he stared at the lines, he suddenly felt like the world was turning upside down. It was as if the laws of the world were constantly changing and stumbling into chaos. At the same time, his soul rapidly turned blurry and transient. He knew that he was losing soul energy at a tremendous rate. He hurriedly formed a thought of escape. An instant later, his weakened soul consciousness appeared inside the 4th space once more. The bubble he touched earlier was no longer empty. It was glowing brilliantly, and countless light threads could be seen inside the bubble. It was like a ball that held countless stars inside it. Those threads looked like the spirit lines of ancient spirit diagrams. They seemed to be a direct manifestation of the laws. Qianlai came to the realization as the bubble rapidly dimmed. A strong sense of weakness assaulted Qianlai at the same time. A flash later, his soul consciousness had slipped out of the soul-suppressing orb and returned to his soul lake. Inside the underground private room, Qianlai felt very tired right after he withdrew his soul consciousness from the soul-suppressing orb. He knew that he had expended a lot of soul energy in just a short amount of time. He reached out to the Dark Soul Beast avatar. A fountain of soul energy was injected into his body right after. His mental fatigue was swept away immediately. Spirit reappeared in Qianlai's eyes. The soul energy he had expended earlier was completely replenished. The 4th space, he muttered to himself. The 4th space of the soul-suppressing orb was extremely similar to the god race's chaos blood realm he entered earlier. Every bubble suspended inside the borderless space contained a secret of its own. They could temper the voodoo and curse progenitors' bodies and soul altars like a furnace. He also knew that the bubbles must have tempered the blood and corpse progenitors' bodies in the same way. The 5 great progenitors' bodies, nerves and soul altars were completely covered in mysterious high-grade ancient spirit diagrams. The ancient spirit diagrams looked like the direct manifestation of the world's absolute truths. The bubble's surface was covered in countless lines and patterns. They seemed like many tiny worlds that represented the many mysteries of power. That was why his soul consciousness wasn't able to stay long inside a bubble. Suddenly, he felt like he had overestimated his capabilities. He no longer thought that he was strong enough to research these high-grade ancient spirit diagrams as he was. Perhaps the only reason I was able to enter the 4th space was because of the Dark Soul Beast avatar, he thought bitterly. He was at the early stage of the Nirvana realm and had rank 7 God race bloodline. The soul he manifested at this level felt like the world was turning upside down and lost a tremendous amount of soul energy the moment he entered the bubble. He wasn't able to sense anything while he was inside the bubble. It made him realize that his realm, bloodline level, and recognition of the powers of the world were far beneath the level necessary to peer into the bubble for real. Let's check if the 4th space is the final space inside the soul-suppressing orb. He condensed a new wisp of soul consciousness and sent it through the layers of space inside the soul-suppressing orb once more. Very soon, the soul consciousness entered the 4th space and took on a human form. He slowly roamed inside the 4th space while avoiding the bubbles holding the high-grade ancient spirit diagrams. Not long after he walked past the mysterious bubbles, he saw yet another ball of white light. His soul abruptly shuddered. The appearance of the white light made him realize that the 4th space still wasn't the soul-suppressing orb's limit. He knew that the white light was a soul barrier that blocked the path to the next space. Let's give it a try. His soul figure swiftly transformed into a sharp sword once more. Gathering all of his soul energy, it stabbed fiercely against the ball of white light. Bang! His soul was bounced back as if it had struck a ball. His soul felt pain after the failed attack. Let's give it another try. Bang! 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 He gathered soul energy and attacked the soul barrier again and again. However, he didn't succeed. After a dozen or so failed attempts, he exhausted his soul energy and finally decided to give up. He knew that he probably wouldn't be entering the 5th space until a long while later. In fact, he wasn't even able to learn the high-grade ancient spirit diagrams imprinted on the surface of the bubbles in a reasonably short time. In the end, Xianxia had to retreat from the 4th space after circling around the 4th space once. He failed to learn anything from the 4th space. The reason why I didn't manage to learn anything was probably because my realm and bloodline are too weak. My comprehension of the many mysteries of power is also too shallow. He sighed to himself. After realizing that he wouldn't be able to obtain anything worthwhile from the 4th space in a reasonably short time, he decided not to waste time any longer. He walked out of underground private room. Xianxia was waiting outside the door. She was dressed in a rosy red-colored artificer's robe, and she seemed to have waited for a very long time. You finally came out. Xianxia hurriedly walked up to him and said, We've been waiting for 5 days already. What? 5 days? Xianxia exclaimed. That's right. It's been 5 days since the last leader's arrival, Xianxia explained. If we're counting starting from the day you went in, then it's been 9 whole days already. 9 days. It's been 9 days since I went inside. Xianxia's expression changed. He thought that he had stayed inside the 4th space for only a short while. However, 9 whole days had passed in the real world while he was cultivating. He immediately realized that the passage of time inside the 4th space and the time outside were vastly different. To think that the 4th space involves the mysteries of time, he thought in amazement. They're all at Evil Infant Island right now. Are you heading over there to meet them? Or should I ask them to come over? Xianxia consulted. We'll head over to Evil Infant Island, Xianxia said. Okay. Xianxia was a Nirvana realm expert, so he hugged Xianxia and flew up to the sky. A few minutes later, he had arrived at Evil Infant Island. The leaders of the Land of Chaos such as Li Mu, Duan Xianxia, Tang Beidu, Feng Yi, Jiang'an, Qi Yang, and Jiang Zhuzhe could be seen waiting on a public square of evil Infant Island. The moment he arrived, the conversing leaders immediately stopped and looked at him. Of course, Song Tingyu was among them as well. She stared at Qin Lai and Tang Siki at a distance, but maintained a calm and nonchalant expression on her face. Upon seeing Qin Lai hugging Tang Siki in the sky, Flame Demon Tang Beidu grinned and chuckled softly to himself. Well met, Island Master. Led by Yu Lingwei and Jiang and Illusory Demon Sect and Black Voodoo Cult walked towards Qin Lai and saluted him before he even landed on the ground. The rest of the leaders such as Feng Yi, Qi Yang, and Wang En's hurriedly stood up and clasped their hands as well. After the roller coaster Qin Lai had put them through, Feng Yi, Qi Yang and 3 heavenly swords of Heavenly Sword Mountain were both afraid and in awe of Qin Lai. They knew that every force in the Land of Chaos would have to obey Qin Lai's every whim from here on. Naturally, they dared not show any signs of disrespect. However, Li Mu, Duan Qianjie, Jiang Zhuzhe, and Lei Yan only smiled at him. It was because they were much more familiar with Qin Lai after everything they had been through. They didn't bother with such trifles. They knew Qin Lai well, and they knew that he didn't care for such trifles at all. Siki, please invite La Pu over as well, Qin Lai instructed. Tang Siki nodded slightly before calling out to La Pu using a sound transmission stone. However, a look of surprise passed through her face a few seconds later. Senior La Pu says that he's busy with work right now and cannot afford the time. He won't be able to attend this meeting. Qin Lai nodded. He knew that La Pu was probably still absorbed with the Abyss Devil's blood. So he said, in that case, we won't be waiting for him. Did something happen, Qin Lai? Li Mu asked. What are you planning again? Gathering all the leaders of the Land of Chaos in one place? Tang Beidu asked. Qin Lai had walked to the middle of the group and stood still. First, he took out the Abyss Devil's remains from his spatial rings. Then he took out their body parts such as pieces of flesh, horns, skins, wings, and other random objects. He waved his hands and beckoned everyone to come closer, saying, please have a look. He carelessly passed the Frost Hell Stone Devil's saw-like claw to Feng Yi. Feng Yi's expression suddenly turned serious when he accepted the claw from Qin Lai. He immediately produced a bright dagger and tapped the claw carefully with his weapon. Ding dong! Ding dong! As the impact produced a melodious chime, Feng Yi's eyes lit up in obvious delight. He immediately passed a claw to the nearby Luo Han. Luo Han accepted it and started his examination with his own secret art. Meanwhile, evil infant boy, Mo Hai, Li Mu, Duan Qianjie, and everyone else began to examine the corpses themselves. Some people grabbed a sharp horn and gave it a look over. Some people even started sniffing the flesh and blood kept inside the containers. The leaders of the Land of Chaos didn't rush into speaking. Instead, they inspected the Abyss Devil's remains and organs carefully. Qin Lai gave them a moment before he started explaining what kind of Abyss Devil the bones, wings, and horns they were holding were and their the bloodline rankings. He told them approximately what level of life form they were. Everyone looked shocked and amazed when they heard his explanation. This saw-like claw is as tough as an Earth Grade 7 spirit artifact. It is incredibly sharp as well, Luo Han said seriously. There is no way a rank 6 ancient beast clansman could ever grow something this tough and sharp, considering their refined flesh and blood energy level. The amount of refined flesh and blood energy contained inside this rank 6 life form is just unbelievable, Jiang An said, just as seriously as he examined a golden horn brute devil's flesh. Qin Lai, these things are extremely precious. Their bones can be refined into many high-rank spirit artifacts, and their flesh and blood can be refined into pills through some secret arts as well. Where did you get them? Evil infant boy asked. How will you rate these items? Qin Lai asked. A lot of people said that they were unbelievably precious considering that they were body parts of mere rank 5 or 6 life forms. Many of their eyes were burning with greed too. Jiang Zhuzhe even grabbed a bloody piece of flesh and swallowed a few drops of blood down his throat right in front of everyone. A few seconds later, A frightful, bloody light glowed from behind his pupils. He fixed his eyes at Qianlai. These creatures' blood is extremely useful to us. Where did you find them? Same here. Qiyang from 10,000 Beast Mountain exclaimed spiritedly. 10,000 Beast Mountain's cultivation emphasizes the tempering of our physical bodies, and these creatures' flesh and blood is unbelievably beneficial to us. Anyone who eats these creatures' flesh will be able to activate their body's potential and evolve their constitution, Duan Xianxia exclaimed. He had deep knowledge and recognition regarding the build of a human body and its potential. His words made everyone's eyes burn even brighter. These creatures are called Abyss Devils. Their bloodline is every bit equal to that of the god race. Qianlai sucked in a deep breath before continuing. A rank 6 Abyss Devil may appear to be the equal of a Fragmentation Realm martial practitioner, but they are powerful enough to take on 4 late-stage Fragmentation Realm human martial practitioners, or even more. Anyone who wishes to hunt them safely will have to gather a well-coordinated team of at least 10 Fragmentation Realm martial practitioners. Its bloodline quality is equal to that of the god race? Everyone turned pale with shock when they heard this. Qianlai nodded strongly before continuing. If you are interested, I can bring you all into their world through a realm entrance I control. Everyone's eyes instantly became filled with the light of ambition when they heard this. It was a race at the same level as the god race. How attractive was that? Every leader's eyes turned red with desire. They literally couldn't keep their wild excitement and joy off their faces. There's one thing I'd like to remind you all though. Qianlai paused for a moment before continuing solemnly. The hunt won't be smooth sailing. A lot of you may die in the abyss. Those who survive will be able to improve their constitution, cultivate faster, and grow stronger through the Abyss Devil's flesh and blood. The abyss is a bloody and ruthless meat grinder to you all. You may die a horrible death in the abyss and become the food in their stomach, or you may be reborn anew and be able to stand at the height of power made up of countless Abyss Devil's corpses. The crowd suddenly fell silent as they considered his words carefully. Are the Abyss Devils really as powerful as the god race? Qiyang asked seriously. That's right. Their bloodline quality is extremely high, and their physical bodies and strength are even better than the ancient beast races. Qianlai inhaled deeply before continuing. The Abyss Devils only fight for themselves, and they are led by many lords or great lords of the abyss. These abyss commanders are constantly at war with each other, and they've almost never worked together. This is where they differ from other races, and why we have a chance to hunt them in the abyss. Each level of the abyss was house to many lords and great lords of the abyss. That was why the other races need not be concerned about being counterattacked by all the lords of the abyss. The only enemy they would face was the lord of the abyss whose territory they invaded, along with the subordinates. What do you all think? Qiyang looked at the crowd. Feng Yi, Wang Enz, and Lei Yan were all frowning in thought. Everyone, if you are able to benefit from the abyss, I believe that the Land of Chaos will gain a group of Void Realm experts in just 100 years. Qianlai said while looking at everyone. The abyss follows the rule of natural selection, and bloody battles are fought at every moment. If you are able to survive the abyss, all silver rank forces the Land of Chaos will eventually transform to sub-rank 1 gold rank forces. Everyone's expressions changed when they heard this. There's one more thing I'd like to inform you all. Qianlai pondered for a moment before he moved onto his reveal. The god race may be returning to Spirit Realm soon. Everyone turned pale when they heard this. They couldn't help but stare at Qianlai warily. The god race's blood runs in my veins, but I'm not related to them in any way. The reason I wish to bring you all into the abyss is so that you can adapt to the cruel future as soon as possible. Qianlai sighed. The cruel future? Wang Enz looked confused. He didn't quite understand what Qianlai mean. The god race isn't the only ruler of the galaxy. Qianlai smiled bitterly before explaining. The soul race, the spirit race, the abyss devil race, and unknown shadow beings. They are all terrifying beings of the galaxy that share equal strength and bloodline as the god race. Also, according to my knowledge, Spirit Realm has been visited by members of the soul race and spirit race before. In the near future, The god race may not be our only enemies. We may have to fight against other races who are as powerful as the god race. I wish that all of you are sufficiently prepared for war when that day arrives. I hope that you're prepared to fight against the strongest races of the galaxy. Everyone's eyebrows became deeply furrowed, their faces colored with concern. They knew that Xianxia had no need to lie to them. The god race, the soul race, the spirit race, the abyss devil race, and shadow beings. When the names of these superior races came out of Xianxia's mouth, they finally realized just how mysterious and terrifying the galaxy really was. They all felt a heavy pressure that threatened to stifle them. Maybe we should start adapting as soon as possible. A while later, Qiang said in a rough voice, "Do discuss this among yourselves," Xianxia said. He walked away from the crowd after saying this. Zhang En from Black Voodoo cult hurriedly followed behind Xianxia with a look that indicated he wished to say something. After moving some distance away from Xianxia and the others, Xianxia abruptly came to a stop and turned around to look at Zhang En. "Do you want to ask me for the voodoo progenitor's body?" Zhang En nodded embarrassedly before replying, "I doubt I'll be able to reach the Genesis realm with my own power before I'm dead. So, I understand." Xianxia's eyes looked deep. Xueli and Miao Fengtian had made the same choice in the past. "I can give you the voodoo progenitor's body, but do you understand what this means? It means that you won't be able to disobey my orders in the future. You will have no choice but to serve me loyally and absolutely. Are you sure you've considered this through? From the day I disobeyed the first voodoo creature's orders and sent you a secret message, I already knew that this day could come," Zhang En said with his head bowed. "You won't regret this?" Xianxia raised an eyebrow. "I don't know. I really don't know the answer to that." Zhang En shook his head with a wry smile. "But I cannot resist the temptation of the Genesis realm. You have a few more days to consider your decision." Xianxia pondered for a moment before saying, "In a few days, the voodoo progenitor's body will be fully refined. I will give it to you then." Zhang En clasped his hands together and said, "Thank you." It was obvious that he had made up his mind already. "You may go." Xianxia waved him away. Zhang En bowed and returned to where the Black Voodoo cult soul altar experts were gathered. The moment he left, a bloody shadow immediately flashed before Xianxia. It was Zhang Zhuzhe wearing a feverish look on his face. "I don't care what the others think. I'm going to enter that abyss and hunt down those abyss devils with my blood drinkers. I need their blood," Zhang Zhuzhe exclaimed in a low tone. His eyes almost looked like there was a tidal wave of blood behind them. "I've already made arrangements to send your brother over there too," Xianxia said offhandedly. Zhang Zhuzhe looked caught off guard for a second before he asked, "How is he doing?" "He's fine now," Xianxia said. "That's good." Zhang Zhuzhe nodded. "It's not just us blood drinkers. All Blood Fiend sect disciples should head into the abyss as well. If you wish to head into the abyss, come find me at Soul Summoning Island in 10 days, Xianxia told him. "I'll make preparations right away." Zhang Zhuzhe moved away immediately. He didn't even bid anyone goodbye. He went straight into Evil Infant Island's teleportation formation and disappeared. His unusual action caught many people by surprise. About the abyss, I hope that this news stay within our circle only. I don't want any outsiders to learn about this. Recalling something, Xianxia turned around and declared loudly, "For now, not even the top gold rank forces from the central world have a way to enter the abyss. All those who dare to venture into the abyss and benefit from it are all accomplished powers of the galaxy. This is your opportunity to evolve yourselves and climb to greater heights. Please make up your own minds and come back to me. If you wish to enter the abyss, come find me at Soul Summoning Island in 10 days. Remember, the first group of entrees must be at the Nirvana realm at minimum. If you've made up your minds, please remember to bring your best spirit weapons and best spirit armors with you. Please make sure to arm yourself to the teeth. Only then you may have a chance to survive in the abyss." The leaders of the silver rank forces thought deeply to themselves. Nirvana realm at minimum. A single silver rank force had tens of Nirvana realm martial practitioners, and a few soul altar martial practitioners at most. If they sent their greatest strength into the abyss, And if anything were to happen to said power, the factions they spent countless years and boundless effort to build would disintegrate instantly. They were weighing the risk and the benefit. Qianlai didn't stay at Evil Infant Island for long. After explaining everything there was to be said, he flew back to Soul Summoning Island. He was greeted by a very pleasant surprise when he reached Soul Summoning Island. He saw many familiar faces on the island such as Ling Yushir, Gao Yu, Luz, Tate, Gordon, Gray of the Ghost Eye race, the rank 9 Vermilion Bird Tong Yen, Su Ran and Tong Xinjin. He immediately realized that the war on the Nether Continent had probably concluded for now. Since everyone were still alive, the war had probably ended with Nether Continent's victory. "Why have you all come?" Qianlai smiled. "I told them to," Lapu explained. Qianlai's expression abruptly turned serious. He said heavily, "Is it because of the blood?" Lapu nodded slightly in response. "My friends, this conversation may involve the secrets of Nether Realm. So please." Luz of the Dark Shadow race shot the husband and wife and Tong Yen a look of sincere apology. "We're going back to Terminator Sect," Su Ran said. "You should head to Evil Infant Island. Lei Yen and Senior Shen are there too," Qianlai replied. Su Ran looked like he had caught something from Qianlai's reply. He soon left with Tong Xinjin. The rank 9 Vermilion Bird Tong Yen nodded and returned to Boluo Realm without a word. Soon, Qianlai, Gao Yu, and the Nether Realm experts were the only ones left on the island. "What's going on, Lapu?" Gray of the Ghost Eye race yelled. "Not long ago, Qianlai had given me some blood to research. I found this blood extremely intriguing." Lapu looked at the puzzled crowd and explained, "I discovered that this blood is extremely similar to our blood. There was even a bottle of purple blood that contained the exact same latent ability as the one a demon god of the Dark Nether race would have." Ling Yushir's beautiful purple eyes abruptly lit up at the statement. "After a period of research, I can now say with 100% certainty that our bloodlines, Nether Realm's bloodlines, are exactly the same as this blood," Lapu declared. What are you saying?" Gray exclaimed in shock. "These powerful creatures are probably the origin of our bloodline. The reason that a rank 10 bloodline expert had never appeared in the Ghost Eye race, Horned Demon race and Dark Shadow race was probably because of a flaw in our bloodlines." Lapu inhaled deeply before he stared at Qianlai with all 8 of his eyes. "Qianlai, if you could get me the blood of a higher rank creature, I believe I'll finally be able to fix the flaws in our bloodlines." The moment he said this, the peak experts of the 3 Nether Realm races, Gordon, Luz, and Gray, looked stunned beyond words. "Fix the flaw in our bloodline? You can do it." Gray's eyes literally lit up all at once. He was so excited that his body was shivering a little. "Are you really confident about this?" Gordon's breathing was heavy. "This is unbelievable," Luz exclaimed. Right now, these 3 Nether Realm experts were at rank 9 bloodline. There had never been a rank 10 Horned Demon, Dark Shadow, or Ghost Eye clansman in their race's history. Therefore, it was their ultimate dream and objective to improve their bloodline to rank 10. However, the Dark Nether race was the only race that ever succeeded in evolving their bloodline to rank 10 despite countless years having passed. To date, no one was able to break this restriction. The Dark Nether race could transform into demon gods after their bloodline had reached rank 10. That was why they were known as one of the powerful ancient races and treated at the same level as the ancient beast race, giant race, and giant dragon race. The Horned Demon race, Dark Shadow race, and Ghost Eye race were clearly weaker compared to these powerful ancient races. It was a terrible shame for these 3 Nether Realm races. But today, Lapu told them that the reason the 3 races were unable to improve their bloodline to rank 10 was because of a flaw in their bloodline. Then, he told them that he could fix this flaw. How could they not be shocked by his declaration? All 3 of them were stuck at rank 9 for many years, and they were the cultivators among their races who were closest to rank 10. How could they not be moved by this? If Qianlai can acquire a more blood from a higher ranking creature, I should be able to refine some medicine from it. Only then I'll be able to fix the flaws in our race's bloodlines. Lapu stared deeply at Qianlai. The key here is more high-rank blood. The 3 experts fixed their gazes onto Qianlai at once. Even Ling Yushi was staring at him. The blood of higher-ranked abyss devils can only be obtained from the abyss. Qin Lai inhaled deeply before continuing. There are plenty of lords and great lords of the abyss at every level of the abyss. On the surface, a lord of the abyss is the equal of a rank 9 ancient beast clansman or a rank 9 dark nether clansman. But in reality, the lord is stronger than both of them. How much stronger are they? Luz asked seriously. A rank 9 abyss devil is as powerful as a rank 9 god race expert in combat. Qin Lai yelled. The experts gasped in unison. The god race was publicly known as the strongest race among these stars. A god race expert with rank 9 bloodline could kill 5 rank 9 giant dragons on their own. Their extraordinary combat strength had long since taken root in every powerful race's heart. The reason the god race ultimately decided to leave Spirit Realm during the War of the 100 Races was because their numbers were too small. They didn't wish to lose more people to the war. Privately, none of the experts who had participated in that battle actually thought they had obtained a true victory. They were all well and truly afraid of the god race. The Abyss Devil race's bloodline and combat strength were as powerful as the god races. How scary was that? Wasn't it plain foolishness to try and hunt down these creatures? Qin Lai could see the fear in their eyes. That was why he said in a calm tone, "The good news is, the Abyss Devils aren't as united as the God race is. Everyone here's family." Qin Lai, "Tell us everything you know," Tate said. Qin Lai nodded and explained his battles with the Abyss Devils in detail. He told them everything he knew except for his fusion with the Dark Soul Beast's avatar. "You're gathering the races of Baluo Realm and the forces of the Land of Chaos to attack the Abyss?" After he came to gradual understanding, Luz shot a meaningful look at Qin Lai and asked, "You sure are generous, kid. Aren't you afraid that these forces will disobey you after they fatten themselves?" "Fatten themselves?" Qin Lai shook his head before answering. "If they succeed, then they deserve the rewards. Are the Abyss Devils really that scary?" Ling Yushi asked seriously. Qin Lai nodded slightly before looking at her. A brief moment of hesitation later, he said, "The Dark Nether race's bloodline very likely originates from a high-rank Lord of the Abyss. So, strictly speaking, you and all the other races in Netherrealm are actually Abyss Devils. The only difference between you and them is a flaw in the bloodline. I guess we can only figure out the truth after we step into the Abyss," Ling Yushi said. "Has Blue Flame Manor submitted yet?" Qin Lai changed the topic. "Yes, the Ghost Eye race went all out, and the Vermilion Birds helped out a lot. As a result, we managed to deal a serious blow to Blue Flame Manor." Ling Yushi smiled beautifully before replying, "They probably won't be trying anything in a while, not unless they are backed by Six Ways Alliance. We've struck a lot of fear into them." "When are we going into the Abyss?" Gordon asked expectantly. "In 10 days, Qin Lai answered. Gordon, Luz, and Gray exchanged a glance with each other and came to a decision instantly. "We must make preparations right away," Gordon exclaimed. "Yes, I must return and summon my clansmen as well," Gray declared in a tone that was full of ambition. Very soon, Gordon, Luz, and Gray went back to the Nether Continent through the teleportation formation in order to prepare for the expedition to the Abyss 10 days later. Ling Yushi, Gao Yu, La Pu, and Eddie were the only ones left on Soul Summoning Island. "I'll leave you two to it." La Pu winked and took his leave. Gao Yu wanted to talk with Qin Lai about the Eastern barbarians, but he wisely decided to hold back for now. Suddenly, Qin Lai and Ling Yushi were the only two people left at the Black Obsidian Palace of Soul Summoning Island. "How come you have two souls?" An astoundingly powerful soul magnetic field suddenly filled every corner of the palace. Ling Yushi then stared at Qin Lai in surprise and exclaimed, "Your other soul is extremely powerful." Qin Lai shuddered and blurted out, "You can see that? Ever since he merged with the Dark Soul Beast's avatar, no one had managed to detect the strangeness in his soul through soul perception alone. For example, Gray, Luz, and Gordon all failed to see anything wrong with him despite being the peak experts of Nether Realm. Ling Yushi's realm, bloodline, and strength were a lot weaker, but she had noticed his most well-hidden secret immediately. It was why Qin Lai was so surprised. Suddenly, he was struck by a fear that there was nothing he could hide before Ling Yushi. Most of my latent abilities are related to the soul. You can say that I am very perceptive in regards to the soul. Ling Yushi smiled slightly before saying, most of the time, I can see the origin of one's soul right away. Your bloodline is probably of the highest rarity and rank even among the Abyss Devil race, Qin Lai praised. He possessed the Dark Soul Beast Avatar's soul memories, so he knew that there were many Abyss commanders with terrifying latent abilities. At the very least, he didn't remember any great Abyss commander who was well-versed in the power of the soul. This meant that Ling Yushi's bloodline was very mysterious. Is your other soul your main soul or subsoul? Ling Yushi asked again. It's my subsoul, Qin Lai replied honestly. Subsoul. Ling Yushi's eyebrows moved a little as countless mysterious light gathered behind her purple pupils. She seemed to be peering into the truth through a mysterious method. Qin Lai felt as if his soul was seen through under her gaze. Suddenly, the Dark Soul Beast Avatar's soul tree let out a ripple of soul energy. A strange soul barrier abruptly covered up his main soul and subsoul. It was a defense the soul tree had put up instinctively. The soul race, Ling Yushi said softly. The soul energy rippling out of her body abruptly vanished after she opened her mouth. She stared at Qin Lai with surprise-filled eyes. Was that the soul race's soul tree? Qin Lai looked at her, aghast. How come you know of them? Ling Yushi let out a soft, mysterious laugh before answering. A long time ago, the Dark Soul Beast, Blood Soul Beast, and Soul-Devouring Beast ravaged the three great realms. After the Soul-Devouring Beast in Nether Realm was ultimately slain, it was buried in the Nine-Soul Hell. She paused for a moment before continuing. My soul is connected to the Nine-Soul Hell, so I was able to learn many things about the soul race through it. There were two wondrous forbidden lands in the Nether Realm. One was the profound Nether Sea, the other the Nine-Soul Hell. According to the old legends, all of the beings of Nether Realm came from profound Nether Sea and Nine-Soul Hell. Any Nether Realm denizen, if their bloodline was connected to the profound Nether Sea or Nine-Soul Hell, would become a great personage. The Dark Nether race became the royal race of the Nether Realm because one member of the Dark Nether race had a bloodline connected to the profound Nether Sea. This person's bloodline evolved to rank 10, and they transformed into a demon god, clearing the Dark Nether race's path towards reign. In the years after, no other clansman of the Dark Nether race could communicate with profound Nether Sea and Nine-Soul Hell. And then Ling Yushi appeared. Because she could communicate with the Nine-Soul Hell, the Ghost Eye race finally acknowledged her status. Gordon finally treated her as the queen of the Dark Nether race. From this, it could be seen how important and unique she, who could connect to Nine-Soul Hell, was to the Nether Realm. Qin Lai also knew that Ling Yushi's soul was mysterious, and that she was skilled in many secret arts of the soul. But he still had not expected that Ling Yushi could see the true appearance of his soul at a glance, and knew that his avatar had a soul tree. Ling Yushi gave him too many surprises. Your bloodline also reached rank 7? Ling Yushi asked. Qin Lai nodded, and grimaced. Seems like there's nothing I can hide from you. You see right through me. Ling Yushi's eyes moved, and she smiled brightly. She said, then you have to be careful in the future. Qin Lai laughed awkwardly. He knew what he had done. Not long ago he had an encounter with Zhuangjing. On the nearby evil infant island, there was Song Tingyu and Tang Siki. He felt a bit guilty. Recently, members of the Azura race have come to the land of chaos. Ling Yushi changed the topic. They came from the Cullen family. They wanted to find the skull of the rank 10 Dark Soul Beast. I heard you took those members of the Cullen family to Baluo Realm. Will they cause any trouble? No. Qin Lai shook his head and said confidently, over in Baluo Realm, I have good relationship with the races. As long as I resolve the matter of Lunar Temple and Sun Palace, Baluo Realm will be able to freely develop. As for the Cullen family, they are a small faction. They cannot do anything in Baluo Realm, and they would not dare. Yes, I received news from Skymender Palace that some of the nobility of the Azura race have secretly come to the land of chaos. But do not worry too much. They have only come to find the Cullen family. They should not dare to create conflict in the land of chaos with the human race, Ling Yushir said. Clearly, Ling Yushir learned some of the special nature of the land of chaos through other channels. The gold rank factions in the Central World must have warned the Azura race sternly before letting them enter the land of chaos. If those members of the Azura race destroyed the seals within the 5 continents of the land of chaos, and caused the seal on the Abyss Channel in the sea to crack, it would become a huge calamity to the spirit realm. Those people clearly did not want to encounter the soul race, especially with the imminent threat of the god race. Right? Let me take care of the wooden sculpture Grandpa Qin gave you for a while. Ling Yushir's brows moved and she said softly, I need to use that wooden sculpture right now. Wooden sculpture? Qin Lai frowned. What is it? Ling Yushir asked curiously. Qin Lai did not immediately respond. He first took out the wooden sculpture from the spatial ring. When the wooden sculpture appeared, Ling Yushir's eyes flashed with purple light. She had a strange expression as though she already saw what was inside. Why is a soul sealed inside? She was even more curious. It is the first voodoo creature, Qin Lai explained, so that's how it is. Ling Yushir nodded softly. She thought and then said, What do you plan to do with this voodoo insect? I really hadn't thought of it. Qin Lai shook his head. As he spoke, he released a thread of his soul consciousness to observe the situation inside the wooden sculpture. In the center of the mysterious compound diagram, the Viridian blood toad's miniature shape was like a rice grain. Its soul presence was strong, but it had become docile. Within the wooden sculpture, its small body moved as though it was breathing regularly. Qin Lai's expression changed slightly. He suddenly felt that this voodoo insect's soul and physical energies had not declined after being sealed into the wooden sculpture and were slightly stronger than before. This meant the first voodoo creature was in the stage of growth. His soul consciousness carefully observed the voodoo insect. He found as the voodoo insect swelled up, it seemed to be absorbing the imperceptible green wisps of smoke inside the wooden sculpture. Those green threads seemed to be a part of the wooden sculpture. Previously, he hadn't even observed them. After the first voodoo creature was sealed, it used some unknown method to extract those green threads to cultivate and grow stronger. This shocked Qin Lai. He knew how difficult the first voodoo creature was to deal with. In order to seal this voodoo insect, many of his spirit artifacts had exploded. Only the wooden sculpture could hold this small voodoo insect. Recently, because he was busy in Baluo realm, merging with the Dark Soul Beast avatar, digesting the 8-eyed demon spirit's bloodline, he had no attention nor energy to spare for the voodoo creature in the wooden sculpture. Now that he looked, he noticed that the sealed voodoo creature was still growing stronger. This made him slightly anxious. Let's talk. What do I have to do to make you free me? As he became wary, the first voodoo creature who detected his entrance passed along a soul thought. Qin Lai stilled slightly, thought and then communicated with it. What can you give me? The voodoo insect became silent. Qin Lai waited silently. After a while it said, This wood sculpture cannot hold me for a long time. I will grow stronger by the day. Not long in the future I will be able to break out. If you are willing to let me out early, I can promise to leave the land of chaos and go to another place, or another realm to develop the voodoo insect race. I can promise you, no matter how the voodoo insect race develops, I will avoid the realms you rule and not interfere. What do you think? Unless you can be of use for me, just keep staying in there. Qin Lai sneered. Use to you? Who do you think you are? The first voodoo creature was extremely disdainful. Even if the voodoo progenitor comes back to life, he will not be able to enslave me again, so how could you then continue to stay in here? Qin Lai snorted and responded, I will take time to think about what to do with you. His soul consciousness came out of the wooden sculpture. If you want to enslave him, you can use secret arts of the soul race and make him a soul slave, Ling Yushir suddenly said. You heard the soul communication between it and me? Qin Lai was shocked. Ling Yushir nodded with a small smile. Qin Lai was even more amazed and said, You really are terrifying. The secret arts of the soul race could imprint a being with a slave mark, making them soul slaves. You have already formed your soul tree. You should know this secret art. Ling Yushi asked. I'm not familiar enough. It was not long ago that I obtained the soul tree after merging with Dark Soul Beast Avatar. Qin Lai laughed dryly. The soul slave art is the core secret art of the soul race. You should try to master it as soon as possible. Ling Yushi reminded. I will. Qin Lai nodded. Gao Yu has been trying to merge with the demon god recently. However, because he does not have the bloodline of the nether realm, the merging process is not very smooth. Ling Yushi frowned and said, I see that he is slightly dispirited. If you have time, urge him to not be in such a hurry. Merging with the demon god? Qin Lai was shocked. Yes, similar to how Elder Shueli merged with the blood progenitor. Ling Yushi explained. Can he succeed? Qin Lai was amazed. I do not know. No one has ever tried it before. Ling Yushi sighed. What's the issue? Is it because Gao Yu is a human? He doesn't have the bloodline of the nether realm, Qin Lai said gravely. Through some experiences, he received the inheritance of that demon god. He gathered many of the remnant souls of the demon god and merged it into the source of his soul. Ling Yushi nodded and said, in terms of soul, he should reach the conditions for merging. However, merging the body of the demon god doesn't just require fitting souls. The bloodline is also a necessary condition. Shueli and Miao Fengtian were able to merge with the blood and corpse progenitors because they cultivated the inheritances of the two, and also because they are both of the human race. Will he give up his physical body to merge with the demon god? If he gives up his human body, will there still be a problem of his bloodline? Qin Lai asked curiously. The bloodline and souls are closely related. The body of a human, along with his bloodline, will cause the soul origin to be innately different from the races of Nether Realm. The Giant Race, Dragon Race, Azura Race, God Race, Dark Nether Race, these different races all have different soul origins. Ling Yushi explained seriously. When a being is in gestation, once their bloodline is formed, their soul origin will change correspondingly. This matter is mysterious. Even I cannot fathom its intricacies despite being connected to the nine-soul hell. In any case, if Gao Yu's bloodline changes, his soul origin will change as well. He is of the human race to begin with. This kind of bloodline means that his soul origin is unlike the races of the Nether race. In other words, he will not be able to easily merge with the demon god. After the conversation with Ling Yushi, Qin Lai went to Soul Summoning Island to find Gao Yu. In a secluded corner of the island, the youth sat shrouded in nether demonic energy. He used the secret arts of the nine hell evil scripture to absorb it. As he cultivated, Gao Yu's skin took on a unique dark blue tinge. Qin Lai landed and stood beside him, his eyes filled with surprise. Gao Yu, a human, had constantly cultivated the nine hell evil scripture of the nether realm. He was amazed at the other reaching the fragmentation realm. You came. Gao Yu stopped his cultivation, his expression cold. He suddenly said, I want to ask something of you. Qin Lai agreed without even thinking. What is it? Over in the lands of Eastern barbarians, there is an island where the white barbarian tribe lived. That island is called White Ripple Island. I hope you can give that island to me, Gao Yu said. All right, I will tell you later. No matter who that island belongs to now, I will try my best to have them give it up, Qin Lai said briskly. A thread of warmth appeared in Gao Yu's eyes. Thank you. There's no need for such things between us. Qin Lai smiled. Gao Yu nodded gently and explained, Jia Yu's parents and some of the white barbarian tribesmen did not die in that battle. That island is the home of their branch. I owe Jia Yu and her parents too much, so... I understand, Qin Lai said. He knew when Gao Yu and Jia Yu had traveled to the east. He had been recognized by Jia Yu's parents and received a certain level of status within the white barbarian tribe. But due to Jiang Zhuzha's previous example, the Eastern barbarians found it difficult to trust outsiders. In the end, Gao Yu and Jia Yu were driven away, and this became the excuse for the Eastern barbarians to attack the land of chaos. Jia Yu's parents were forced to flee their home, but because they had left, they avoided the massacre. But now the dust has settled. The great majority of Eastern barbarians had been killed by the silver rank forces or turned into pure fleshly energy by eight-eyed demon spirit to nurture the spirit race girl. The lands of the Eastern barbarians were also divided up by the forces. At this time, if Jiayu's parents wanted to return to their homeland, they could only rely on the relationship between Jiayu and Gaoyu to beg Qinlai. Qinlai knew how deep the love between Gaoyu and Jiayu was. With his present position, anyone would give him face if he wanted to request White Ripple Island from them, so he agreed immediately. I heard you are having some trouble in merging with the demon god? After a long moment of thought, he asked. Conflict of the bloodline, Gaoyu said honestly. Qinlai frowned and said, What do you think? I have already given up, Gaoyu said. Given up? Qinlai was shocked. Yes. Gaoyu had a wooden expression. Since there is a conflict of the bloodlines, I do not desire to continue to force this. Without the demon god I can still grow strong. However, I will need time. It will take much longer. That's all right. I am still young, I can afford to wait. Also, I feel my future accomplishments will not be any less than that demon god's. Qinlai's eyes lit up and he looked deeply at Gaoyu. He said, Are you also coming to the abyss? Of course, Gaoyu said. I think that your future may surpass that demon god who gave you the 9 hell evil arts. Qinlai said seriously. I also think that. Pride appeared in Gaoyu's eyes. At this time, Qinlai knew that Ling Yusher's worries were extraneous. Although Gaoyu had experienced failure that made him feel dispirited, he'd quickly overcome it. He believed that giving up on merging with the demon god might be good for Gaoyu. At the same time, the silver rank forces of the Land of Chaos and 3 races of Nether Realm were busy preparing for their excursion into the abyss. Qinlai took his time talking about mysteries of soul with Ling Yusher. He explained some of the soul race secret arts. Ling Yusher also explained in detail the knowledge she obtained thought the 9 soul hell. They both benefited greatly. On the 6th day, Shun Kuei passed a message to him through Song Tingyu. He said Azura clansmen came to Terminator sect and wanted to know where the Cullen family was hiding. Shin Kuei expressed a great hurry. After receiving the message, Qinlai immediately traveled to Terminator sect. He quickly appeared at Terminator sect. Terminator sect. Over the Thunder God Roar Valley, 5 figures clad in adorned black armor were facing off against Shin Kuei, Lei Yen, Su Ran, and other elders of Terminator sect. 4 of them were in the imperishable realm, with one having reached the void realm. Due to this, Shun Kuei had hurriedly sent a message to him and hoped he would appear. We've seen the secret realm entrance in Suluo realm collapse. We've seen the members of the Cullen family disappear. The void realm Azura race expert's starry eyes flashed viciously. The relationship between you and the Cullen family was never a secret. They fled from Suluo realm, they surely come here. If you cannot provide accurate information, I will destroy the person in seclusion in the valley behind you. He pointed at Thunder God Roar Valley and shouted. Clearly, this person knew the sect master of Terminator sect, Forefather Terminator, was in seclusion. As the strongest of the Land of Chaos, Forefather Terminator was still searching for the path to a breakthrough and had not appeared for many years. This person was threatening Shin Kuei and the others with the life of Forefather Terminator. Shin Kuei and the others were furious but did not know what to do. Terminator sect did not have any void realm experts. Facing this person, they had no hope of victory. In all of the Land of Chaos, only Flaming Sun Island, only Qinlai, could ask for void realm experts' help. They could only ask for aid from Qinlai. You finally came. At the mouth of the valley, Chu Li saw Qinlai appear. As his spirits had been lifted up, he immediately regained the confidence. After so many years, Qinlai, who he had explored the graveyard of gods with, became an existence that could quake the earth and rend the heavens with a stamp of his foot. Reminiscing their past, Chu Li felt proud. The reason that Qinlai had a close relationship with Terminator sect and has become good allies with Terminator sect was mainly because of him. It caused him to feel great sense of pride. Good, you are here. Su Ran also sighed in relief inside. Shen Kuei, Lei Yen, Xin Yu, and the others originally had been frowning with dark expressions. When Qin Lai appeared, they became energized, their faces bright. "You are that island master of Flaming Sun Island?" Qin family's Qin Lai. The Azura race Void Realm expert looked coldly at him and said disdainfully, "A forced to flee the central world, that still doesn't dare to return. A boy that has been dead for 300 years. I hadn't expected you to put down your roots here and gather trash around you." Qin family. The people of Terminator sect had no particular change in expressions once they heard the Azura clansman's words. They clearly had more or less guessed Qin Lai's true identity. Came as no surprise to them. "Qin Lai, that white ripple island. Terminator sect will gift it to you. There's no need for any compensation," Shin Kuei said softly. "Oh." Qin Lai nodded slowly. 6 days earlier, Gao Yu had asked him to give White Ripple Island to Jia Yu's parents. He had agreed and ordered Song Tingyu to help obtain White Ripple Island. It seemed that White Ripple Island had been under Terminator sect's control. At this time, Shun Kuei mentioning this matter was an expression of goodwill. He knew this. "I sent the Cullen family away from the land of chaos." Qin Lai grinned and said to Void Realm Azura clansmen, "This matter has nothing to do with Terminator sect." "You sent them away?" The Azura race expert, Borba, grimaced and asked, "Then could you tell me which realm the Cullen family is in right now?" "I cannot tell you," Qin Lai said coldly. Borba's cross eyes flashed with vicious light. He clearly was going to attack. The other imperishable realm experts of the Azura race moved slightly to surround Qin Lai. The expressions of Su Ran, Tong Jinjin, Shin Kuei, Lei Yan, and the rest changed. They instinctively looked around. When they messaged Qin Lai, they had explained the situation here. They thought that Qin Lai would not come alone. They thought a rank 9 expert of Boluo realm or Nether realm was hiding nearby. They looked around and waited for the expert to appear. Borba also knew the situation of Flaming Sun Island. He also examined the surroundings and wanted to see Qin Lai's trump card. Qin Lai, who was only in the Nirvana realm, must have come with experts if he dared act so fearless. Borba thought this as well. Sometimes, it's better to act dumb for your own good. Qin Lai's tone was cold as he looked at the other and said, "I know that you came here from Azura realm through the realm passage of the 6 forces. Those 6 forces are restrained by the oath they made and do not dare to enter this place. Of course they would gladly let you use their secret realm entrance and test the waters, test my and the Qin family's temper. How laughable of you to charge in." When he said this, Borba's expression changed as he recognized the disadvantageous situation. ZZZT. A strange star-shaped door suddenly formed behind Qin Lai. When that door appeared, a terrifying roar that seemed to have come from an ancient beast immediately came at them. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Countless soul strands which could not be seen with the naked eye flew out of the star door. They covered everything outside Thunder God Roar Valley. The day suddenly became black night. Within the thick darkness, Borba and the 4 imperishable realm Azura race experts suddenly felt terror. Crack! Ryup! Within the darkness, the sound of an ancient beast's fangs and teeth tearing came and caused Borba's soul to tremble. Uff! Suddenly, the soul altar of Borba and the other experts seemed to sink into a pit of darkness. Their bodies started descending on their own, as though they were being pulled into another space. They could not muster even the thought of resistance. At the door to the valley, the sound of the Azura race experts gradually became imperceptible. The darkness filling the valley gradually disappeared as though it was consumed. Dozens of seconds later, the valley returned to normal. The darkness disappeared. The daylight appeared again. The star door behind Qin Lai had also disappeared. Borba and the other 4 Azura race soul altar experts had disappeared as well. Shin Kuei, Lei Yan, Su Ran, Tong Jinjin, Chu Li, and Shun Yu stood there dazedly. They looked with bewilderment at Qin Lai. "Those Azura clansmen will not appear again." "Do not worry," Qin Lai said calmly. "Oh!" Su Ran exhaled softly and then reacted. "Where did they go?" "I sent them to another realm," Qin Lai said with a smile. "Another realm?" Su Ran's expression was complicated as he said in amazement, "You're able to use spatial power at will?" Shrugging, Qinlai said easily, "Pretty much." Su Ran paled. Shen Kuei, Lei Yan, Chu Li, Shen Yu, and the others looked at him as though they were seeing a freak. In their eyes, Qinlai was shrouded in mystery and had many unimaginable abilities. Borba and the 4 imperishable realm Azura race experts were enough to destroy Terminator Sect. Yet, in Qinlai's hands, the 5 powerful Azura race experts were sent instantly to another realm. In the darkness, their souls also felt the terrifying soul presence of the Dark Soul Beast Avatar. They heard the terrified screams of Borba and the others. They knew that those Azura clansmen would suffer terrible fates. "You keep getting more and more unfathomable," Chu Li grimaced. "The god race bloodline is so mysterious." Shen Yu had a strange expression. "In any case, the Azura clansmen will not cause any trouble for Terminator Sect." Qinlai smiled, thought, and then said, "How are your preparations for the journey into the abyss?" "We will mobilize all of our elites to participate in the hunt," Lei Yan shouted. "Your display clearly showed us our shortcomings. Maybe through the cruel hardships in the abyss we will understand the outside world and achieve greater heights." Shen Kuei sighed. "This is also my hope," Qinlai said seriously. "Pity that Big Brother Nan has not come out. He could lead us into the abyss and strengthen himself as well," Lei Yan said dispiritedly. Qinlai looked behind at the Thunder God Roar Valley. Within the mountain valley, lightning flashed and thunder roared. There were chaotic space vibrations filled with chaos and destructive power. "It is not right." His expression changed. He suddenly thought of Sane and the curse covering every corner of the land of chaos. Anyone trying to reach the void realm with a real chance of success would be suppressed by the secret curse. Sane failed multiple times due to this. His body was injured and his soul was nearly extinguished. Nan Zhengtian was attempting to break through, and would surely face the same difficulties if he didn't leave the land of chaos. "I forgot to remind him." Qinlai's expression darkened. "What are you muttering about?" Su Ran said. Qinlai rubbed his chin. He thought and then looked at people at the mouth of the valley. He said, "Have the other people leave first." At the mouth, other than Lei Yan, Su Ran, Tong Jinjin, Shen Kuei, Shen Yu, and Chu Li, there were many other experts of Terminator Sect. Those people were unfamiliar and he could not trust them. "Return first." Shen Kuei looked at them. The elders of Terminator Sect nodded and left without a word. Soon, only the people Qinlai was familiar with remained. When Sane was trying to break through to the Void Realm, he was affected by a secret curse that had been placed upon the Land of Chaos by Curse Progenitor. In the past, many experts of the Land of Chaos were suppressed by that curse when attempting to break through. He described the situation. After Shen Kuei, Lei Yan, and the others finished listening, they had grave expressions. They finally understood why the Land of Chaos had not produced many Void Realm experts in its long history. Originally, the curse was supposed to restrain the powerful Sea race. However, as our human race rose in power and Sea race declined, the curse started restraining us instead, Qinlai said. "Then, Forefather, what should we do?" Chu Li said urgently. "Can we contact him?" Qinlai asked. Everyone looked at Shen Kuei. Shen Kuei was the steward of Terminator Sect and Nan Zhengtian had given him orders before his seclusion. Everyone knew that Shen Kuei would be the way to message Nan Zhengtian. "I will go to the valley." Under everyone's gaze, Shen Kuei took a deep breath and moved into Thunder God Roar Valley hurriedly. Qinlai and the others waited outside. "I didn't know this was the reason for the lack of experts in the Land of Chaos." Su Ran sighed and said, "It seems that we should leave the Land of Chaos. Otherwise, I will be wounded by the curse like Sane." "Same for me," Lei Yan said. "Qinlai, how many people know of this?" Su Ran asked seriously. "Duan Xianxia, Li Mu, and some of the Flaming Sun Island's soul altar experts," Qinlai said truthfully. Su Ran thought and said, "You want the Land of Chaos to transform and have the human forces advance towards gold rank. You may want to notify those martial practitioners with 3-level soul altars. Obviously. Those who you deem trustworthy. I understand. Qinlai nodded gently. He knew the curse restraining the Land of Chaos was not suitable for the present time. He wanted to develop the Land of Chaos and make these silver rank forces a part of his strength. With that premise, he had to do some things in order to achieve his goal. Having the experts go to hunt in the abyss, experience blood and hardship, see the vastness of the outside world, that was the first step. He needed to amass strength through other channels as well. In this part of the world, the silver rank forces have great potential, Su Ran said seriously. If they really transform, once they become second-rate gold rank forces, many Void Realm experts will appear among them. In the future, the forces in the Land of Chaos will become more and more glorious. To you, to the human race, to all of Spirit Realm, this is good. Qinlai nodded. The group waited at the entrance to Thunder God Roar Valley and discussed the state of affairs. After a while, Shun Kuei came back and looked strangely at Qinlai. He said, I told your news to him. What did Forefather say? Qinlai's eyes lit up. As long as Nanjing Tian received the news, it was still early enough they may be able to correct the mistake. He believed that Nanjing Tian, the strongest of the Land of Chaos, in any place other than the Land of Chaos, could easily reach the Void Realm. He was full of confidence. He said, he knew that the Land of Chaos had a curse, and this is not his first time trying to reach the Void Realm. Shun Kuei's eyes flashed with strange light. He experienced the same thing Sane did. He thought it was a mandate of the heavens. However, pausing, Shun Kuei said, he has already overcome it. What? Qinlai screamed. Su Ran and the others were dumbstruck. He said that the curse on the Land of Chaos appeared this time but was unable to stop him. Shun Kuei took a deep breath, a comforting smile on his face as he said, he has successfully reached the Void Realm. He has been reinforcing his cultivation recently and recovering his strength. Reaching the Void Realm despite the curse. Qinlai was stunned. Big Brother Nan is Big Brother Nan, the strongest of the Land of Chaos. Lei Yan's face was full of admiration. I really have to bow to him. Su Ran shook his head and grimaced. Nan Zhengtian's breakthrough was a great and joyful surprise to everyone present. Even for Qinlai, the strongest person in the Land of Chaos successfully reached the Void Realm even under the curse. This meant the curse progenitor had put on the Land of Chaos was not effective against everyone. In this world, some people could create miracles, could destroy all the barriers and restraints. Nanjing Tian was a person like this. Nothing is absolute. Lei Yan was extremely excited as he said, when one reaches a certain level of strength, nothing is impossible. That is true, Su Ran agreed. At this moment, Tong Xinxin's eyes flashed. Her gaze landed on Qinlai and she suddenly said, maybe, when you reach the late stage of the imperishable realm, you could also successfully reach the Void Realm even against the curse of the Land of Chaos. Qinlai shook. You are another miracle of the Land of Chaos? I believe in you, Tong Xinxin said calmly. Qinlai grinned. I will try. You can do it, Shen Yu said, full of confidence. Thank you for your wishes. Qinlai laughed. We will go to Soul Summoning Island in a few days, Su Ran said. Qinlai nodded. You are always welcome. After resolving Terminator sex problems, Qinlai immediately bid farewell to them. Deep underground in Baluo Realm, the 5 Azura clansmen, led by Borba, were pulled into the underground cave. When they saw the dark soul beast in the dim space, their eyes betrayed the terror they felt. Dark soul beast. A living dark soul beast. Heavens! The 5 Azura clansmen stared up at the mountainous dark soul beast coiled up in the space. Their bodies trembled. They were from ancient families of Azura race and were all familiar with the dark soul beast. Their fear of the dark soul beast had been engraved into their bones. They've been told just how terrifying and strong a dark soul beast was. 30,000 years ago, a rank 10 dark soul beast had invaded Azura realm. Many of the experts of Azura realm had been enslaved. Without the arrival of the God race experts, they believed that dark soul beast would conquer the entire Azura realm. Even now, The Dark Soul Beast was still the strongest monster of legends in Azura realm, the manifestation of the most evil deity. Borba and the others mentally collapsed when they saw this rank 9 Dark Soul Beast in this underground cave. They felt hopelessness and despair, not even thinking to put up any resistance. Around the Dark Soul Beast, a dozen Azura clansmen stood silently. One of them looked deeply at Borba's chest where there was an insignia of a double-headed eagle. He said, "The McConaughey family. You are." Borba was shocked. At this time, he noticed there were Azura clansmen around the Dark Soul Beast. Those people gave off wild and bloodthirsty presences. Each person's hands seemed covered in blood and ghosts. The person speaking wore old robes and also had a double-headed eagle on his chest. Borba screamed after his shock. You also are?" "Yes. I too am a member of the McConaughey family." That old Azura clansman had a wooden expression as he said coolly, "Peacefully submit. Submit." Borba stilled. At this moment, Dark Soul Beast Avatar's enormous eyes suddenly released countless soul threads. The millions of soul threads immediately surged towards Borba and the others like a school of fish. Before they could react, those soul threads burrowed into their eyes. In a moment, many chaotic thoughts, tiny soul race imprints rooted themselves into their souls. They immediately bled from their orifices, hugging their heads as they wailed in pain. The eyes of the Dark Soul Beast unleashed even more soul threads. The souls were like tentacles that stabbed into the minds of Borba and the others. Boom! One 2-level soul alter Azura clansman, because his soul was not strong enough and that the Dark Soul Beast avatar was not skilled enough in the secret art, found his eyeballs suddenly explode. That person's soul presence immediately disappeared. Many minutes later, boom! Another 2-level soul alter expert could not tolerate the power of the soul race's enslaving imprint. His soul exploding. The soul tree appeared silently in the eyes of the Dark Soul Beast. His control of the soul threads gradually became learned. Qianlai's soul merged with this Dark Soul Beast's subsoul. After forming the soul tree, he was still adjusting to the body of the Dark Soul Beast and the secret arts of soul race that his avatar had mastered in the past. The reason why he pulled Borba and the others to Baliu Realm's underground cave was because he needed subjects to gain experience and master the core arts of the soul race. If he perfected them, he would soon be able to enslave the first voodoo creature. The first voodoo creature's soul was strange, and even stronger. To enslave Borba and the others, he would need to truly master the soul race's secret arts. If he achieved this level of mastery, the first voodoo creature would follow these Azura clansmen's fate. Borba and the others were just test subjects. Boom! Another Azura clansman exploded, his 3-level soul altar crumbling as his soul exploded, not strong enough to contain the power of soul race enslaving mark. Millions of soul threads moved in the eyes of the Dark Soul Beast avatar and gradually slowed. The speed the threads moved towards the last 2 Azura race members slowed. Soon, puzzlement appeared in Borba's eyes. At this time, a tiny bud grew on Qianlai's soul tree inside the Dark Soul Beast avatar. The eyes of the Dark Soul Beast flashed. Then he slowed down again. When the soul threads moved into the depths of the last person's soul, he carefully controlled them. Those soul threads softly landed onto that person's soul altar like feathers. When the soul threads entered the soul altar, they seemed to sprout like seeds, quickly growing and strengthening to form more imprints. The marks gradually merged with the soul altar. Therefore, another bud appeared on the soul tree. Beside the Dark Soul Beast, the soul slave of the McConaughey family watched as Borba lost himself, having been taken over by Qianlai's soul. His face showed a strange expression. He seemed to be gratified, and yet he looked to be lamenting. The 5 Azura race experts represented the 5 families of the Azura realm, and Borba belonged to the McConaughey family. He cared only about Borba's situation. Soon, the confusion in Borba's eyes gradually disappeared. His eyes became clear again, but his gaze when he looked at Qianlai was completely different. He knelt down on both knees and said with a lowered head, "Borba greets Master. Take him into the abyss later." Dark Soul Beast avatar ordered the old McConaughey family slave. "As you bid." Dozens of seconds later, The other Azura clansman knelt as well to proclaim his inferiority. He would also be sent into the abyss. The abyss. Borba and the other person stood next to the old Azura clansman of the McConaughey family with complicated expressions. I am Condi. My grandfather was the third-generation patriarch of the McConaughey family. Which generation is it now? The old person asked. The fifth generation. Borba suddenly became respectful. Condi jerked his lips and said wryly, It seems that if I lived in Azura realm, I would have been qualified to fight for the position of patriarch of the McConaughey family. You have always been with it, Condi said in shock. Condi looked deeply at him. He thought and then said, Soon the Azura race, the ancient beast race, the other ancient races will all undergo a cleansing. At that time you will understand. The Azura race will have to pick a side. What do you mean? Borba was confused. I mean the Azura race, ancient beast race, giant race, and dragon race will be conquered sooner or later. Condi grimaced. He pointed at himself and then at Borba, saying, Just like us. Is there no chance at all? Borba sighed and said, No, none at all. Condi shook his head. The disparity is too great, the power of the race, the bloodline, the knowledge of the soul, we are too far behind. Borba's expression was dim. He said with a bent head, I understand. Submission is better than being exterminated. In the future, you will understand the cruelty of the outer space. At that time, you will find that living is more important than anything else. Condi sighed and said, In the underground cave under Baluo realm, Xianxia's dark soul beast avatar used its soul threads to manipulate and consume the remnant souls of the Azura clansmen that he had failed to enslave. He had not controlled his strength well when he formed the slave mark, and the three souls were not able to tolerate the power. They died in both body and soul. It would take some time for the remnant souls that had just been destroyed to dissipate. Dark Soul Beast Avatar could still consume the soul energy of these souls before they disappeared. It was using a secret art of its bloodline to refine them into pure soul energy. ZZZZT. The eyes of the Dark Soul Beast flashed after consuming the remnant souls. Many scattered memories turned to ash and dissipated. Pure soul energy streamed into the soul tree like water. After the remnant souls of the three soul altar experts were refined, the soul energy they formed was extraordinary. After refining the remnant souls, the eyes of the Dark Soul Beast became bright and energized. Inside the underground cave, some of the other Azura race slaves were still scattered around. Like faithful guards, they protected the Dark Soul Beast. At this time, after gaining some experience with the soul secret arts, Xianxia's avatar pondered the details of the slave mark and savored the knowledge in the souls. Dark Soul Beast, Blood Soul Beast, Soul Devouring Beast, the names are different, but in reality, they are all a kind of beast from Space Soul Beast. Xianxia extracted knowledge from the memories of that member of the soul race. As he thought back, he slowly learned more about this body and the secret arts of the soul race. Soul beasts, their core bloodline latent ability is soul refining or soul devouring. This ability is unique to them. Moreover, the soul beasts have many other bloodline abilities related to the soul. This is a strange kind of beast who has a mysterious connection between the bloodline and the soul. They are the most ideal possession targets for soul race members. As he extracted the memories and thought through them, the reason the soul race fought over the soul beasts became clear. The soul race was the most mysterious race in outer space. This kind of race did not have any tangible form and were born in pure soul form. The inheritance of the soul race was within their soul and extremely wondrous. Moving through space in purely soul form, they would sometimes have the advantage, but it would be inconvenient in other times. Therefore, when their souls grew to a certain stage, they would choose a physical body for themselves. They would completely possess this body and merge with the other's soul. Within the stars, many highly intelligent races, almost all kinds of physical life, could be possessed and used as hosts for their souls. Yet there were not many physical beings who could perfectly merge and adjust to them. The soul beasts were one of the most ideal hosts for their souls in the vast galaxy. The bloodline latent abilities of the soul beasts mostly were related to the soul. Their core ability, soul refining, was particularly complementary to their secret arts. Due to this, many soul race members would try to choose the soul beasts to host their souls. Within outside space, when the soul race members gathered in physical form, the soul beasts were the most common form to appear. After so many years, races ignorant to the secrets of the soul race believed that soul beasts were simply part of the soul race. Even an unpossessed soul beast would be considered to be of the soul race. The soul beast was a strange beast of the vast galaxy. During the dawn of time, before they were discovered and enslaved by the soul race, they had their own territories, their own realms to live in. However, as the soul race grew stronger, many soul beasts were possessed by the strongest of the soul race. Even the realms and lands where the soul beasts lived were slowly taken over by the soul race. This caused true soul beasts to decrease in number. The members of the soul race even started to raise soul beasts and make them grow stronger. When more soul race members were born, when the time was right, they would take over these soul beasts and merge their bodies and souls. The soul beasts, while they lived in some secret areas of the universe, were essentially extinct. Those soul beasts which were captive were just physical bodies the soul race experts used as future hosts for future soul race members. Gradually, many of the races started to think the soul race and the soul beasts were one. This was a misunderstanding. The soul beasts were their own beast race of the vast space. They had separate bloodline, different ranks, and unique bloodline latent abilities. At this time, Xianxia slowly learned the truth through the memories of that soul race member and the fragmented memories of the dark soul beast. He started to pay attention to the dark soul beast's bloodline. This rank 9 dark soul beast, the rank 9 bloodline, had also awakened some latent abilities. The soul refining ability was also called soul devouring. This was the core latent ability of the soul beast race. Through consuming souls without any physical form, by refining them into pure soul energy, they could strengthen their souls. Many soul race members chose to use soul beasts as their hosts due to this ability. The transformation ability was a latent ability common for all beast races in the vast galaxy. Transformation could allow the soul beast to appear to others in different forms. For example, Xianxia activated the bloodline latent ability of the dark soul beast. He used transformation. Threads of soul energy manifested in his mind into the shape of his human body. Green lightning arced over the body of the dark soul beast and caused the underground cavern to flash with eerie light. The enormous dark soul beast avatar shrank as its flesh gathered. A while later, the mountainous dark soul beast avatar successfully transformed into the appearance of Xianxia's true body using the transformation ability. He looked closely. He found that while the outer appearance was like his human true form, the inside was still the same as the dark soul beast. He did not have an extra heart. With this, he concluded that transformation was limited to outer appearance. His flesh, sinews, organs, and skeleton remained the same. The human appearance is good and more convenient for other matters. Just not comfortable. Xianxia moved his arms. He felt uncomfortable all over, and much worse than in the soul beast's original form. Also, when he appeared in the shape of a human, he could not use many of the bloodline latent abilities and secret arts of the soul beast race. This meant that the power of the soul beast would be greatly discounted after transformation. After maintaining the form for a while, Xianxia changed back into the dark soul beast. He continued to observe the abilities of this avatar. There was another latent ability called dark soul. Could conceal the soul using bloodline power. Other strong and intelligent beings could not detect the soul. This was a rank 9 latent ability. Using this latent ability, the powerful soul fluctuations of the soul beast would immediately disappear. This was a move that the soul beast frequently used to hunt other intelligent beings and consume their souls. Also, there was one more latent ability, blood soul. Using all the blood in its body, it could create an enormous amount of soul energy and use it to replenish the soul energy needed for battle. Using blood to replenish the soul energy, this was a mysterious latent ability. Other than transformation, this rank 9 soul beast's true latent abilities were soul devouring, dark soul, and blood soul. Xianxia suddenly understood. The soul devouring beast of Nether Realm, the dark soul beast of Azura Realm, The Blood Soul Beast of Ancient Beast Realm were named after the 3 bloodline latent abilities of the Soul Beast. The 3 beasts were all soul beasts, just named after 3 different bloodline latent abilities. Soul Devouring, Dark Soul, Blood Soul, 3 bloodline latent abilities all closely related to the soul. Other than this, he also received some of the scattered memories of fighting in the form of the Soul Beast. They were all related to using the 3 bloodline latent abilities. No wonder the Soul Race members would think of the Soul Beasts as the best hosts. There is a reason for this. Xianxia thought. When Soul Beasts hunted or fled, the Dark Soul bloodline latent ability was of utmost importance. During battle, when one did not have enough soul energy, the Blood Soul latent ability could increase soul energy and have the Soul Beast recover vast amount of pure soul energy quickly. Soul Devouring was the core ability soul beasts used to kill physical beings and consume their souls. The 3 bloodline latent abilities worked with one another and elevated soul beasts' fighting prowess to unprecedented levels. If not for having such a fearsome natural enemy like the Soul Race, Xianxia believed the soul beasts would have their own spot among the stars of the vast galaxy. Under the ground, Xianxia's soul beast avatar kept using its transformation ability again and again to familiarize itself with the skill. I'll have to leave this place for a while. One day, the soul beast avatar muttered this to itself after it transformed into a human. At the same time, his human self had just passed through the secret realm entrance and arrived at Bloodline realm. Then, he created a star door to the underground cavern and walked through it. His human self and his avatar stood face to face inside the dark underground space and observed each other. They looked exactly the same as each other. Suddenly, 2 identical smiles sprung on his human self and the avatar's faces. Nearby, a few Azura soul slaves cultivated quietly on the floor with their heads bowed. They knew that both Xianxia actually belonged to the same person. However, they ultimately thought that the Soul Beast avatar was the primary of the duo because it was stronger. In 2 days, Xianxia would be leading an expedition made up of the Land of Chaos elite forces and entering the Abyss. He could create a star door directly from Soul Summoning Island using Curtis as a medium. However, that would deplete much of his bloodline energy. Spirit Realm and the Abyss were impossibly far apart from each other. The amount of bloodline energy necessary to create a star door that linked the 2 realms was many times bigger than the amount of bloodline energy necessary to create a star door within the same realm. Moreover, he needed to power the star door constantly to keep it open and stable. The Land of Chaos entrees numbered around several hundreds to 1,000. It would take way too much bloodline energy to create a star door for all of them. Moreover, he was only in the Nirvana realm with a rank 7 bloodline. At his current power, he couldn't maintain the stability of the star door for long. That was why this method was out of the question. This meant that he could only borrow the White Bone altar inside the underground space. It would be better if the Soul Beast avatar went somewhere else while the Land of Chaos forces were entering the Abyss. It was too conspicuous otherwise. Let's head into Bloodline realm space and get ready to attack Sun Palace and Lunar Temple's party. They shouldn't be far away now. The moment he thought this, he used his soul consciousness to lock onto the Azura soul servant who had ventured into the outer space with Tung Yuan and his group earlier. Then, he forcefully manifested a star door that linked directly to the outer space. He could clearly sense his bloodline energy flowing out of him at a tremendous rate. ZZZT. A moment later, a brilliant star door finally entered his view. The Soul Beast avatar went through it instantly. His real body then cancelled the outflow of bloodline energy in a hurry. It caused the star door to suddenly explode and vanish. Xianxia's face had obviously turned a little pale as he sucked in a deep breath of relief. He had used up at least 1/4 of his bloodline energy, although the star door hadn't lasted more than an instant. He definitely could open star doors to places where his soul was present with the 8-eyed demon spirit's bloodline. But the amount of bloodline energy that was used vastly differed from the norm if the destination location happened to be very, very far away. The cost to travel to a nearby location within the same realm using a star door was minimal. But the amount of bloodline energy required to travel between realms would probably challenge the limits of his imagination. Whoosh! The demon-sealing tombstone that was also called the flesh-filling tombstone heeded his mental call and appeared above his head. Visible lines of refined flesh and blood energy poured down the demon-sealing tombstone like rivers of energy. The refined flesh and blood energy went into his heart, head, and glabella. As his depleted bloodline energy was being replenished, he slowly recovered from tiredness. Meanwhile, he looked at the underground white bone altar and frowned slightly. This underground space was completely sealed off. Therefore, he had to use a star door every time he came in and out of here. The land of chaos experts had to go through the white bone altar if they wished to step into the abyss. Obviously, this meant that he needed to create a star door to this underground space. Sure enough, the amount of bloodline energy required to create a star door within the same realm was far less than creating a star door directly to the abyss using Curtis as a medium. But what about the next trip? In the future, the experts of the Silver Rank forces would be traveling in and out of the abyss. After taking out Lunar Temple and Sun Palace, Tang Yuan and his group would be traveling to the abyss as well. He couldn't possibly open a star door every time they wished to make a trip, could he? His real self would turn into a glorified and overused teleportation formation. Obviously, this wasn't a long-term solution. It's either moving this white bone altar out of this place, or building a new underground teleportation formation. He considered his options. About 8 minutes later, Qin Lai came to a decision. He looked at the Azura soul servants and instructed, "Take the white bone altar apart." The soul servants moved into action after their initial surprise was over. The altar that was made using the gigantic bones of many abyss devils was quickly taken apart under his soul slave's cooperation. Qin Lai personally kept a frozen devil heart that could serve as a core of the teleportation formation in safety. The heart came from a lord of the abyss. The soul beast and its soul servants had cooperated with each other and killed it at that icy level he went to earlier. The reason the white bone altar was able to connect straight to the abyss was all thanks to this abyss devil's heart. Since his fusion with the soul beast was progressing by day, he grew confident in his abilities to rebuild the white bone altar. That was why he dared to take apart the all-important gateway to the abyss. It took the soul altar experts 6 full hours to take apart the white bone altar completely. Once they were done, Qin Lai contacted Zhuang Jing with his soul. This time, he gave the other side of the star door a cursory look first before passing through. The ancient beast race's territory. After confirming his destination, he finally passed through the star door. He was quickly followed by a group of dark-faced, icy-looking soul altar Azura elders. They were carrying the gigantic abyss devil bones. Right now, Zhuang Jing was at a valley of the vermilion bird race. She was conversing with Lin Jie about something. Qin Lai's sudden appearance and the Azura elder's unusual labor obviously caught her by surprise. Lin Jie didn't dare to say a word either. After a few days had passed, Qin Lai no longer felt entirely the same about Zhuang Jing. In the past, he thought nothing of her. The only reason he didn't kill her was because he had made her a promise. Even not long ago, Zhuang Jing was nothing more but a useful medium to him. That really was all. But after he had sex with Zhuang Jing in the bathroom, he couldn't help but be tempted by her enticing appearance when he met her once more. "Master, my bloodline just reached rank 7. You showed up before I got a chance to tell you?" Once Zhuang Jing got over her surprise, she stood up and saluted Qin Lai beautifully and smilingly. "It actually works." "Huh." Qin Lai thought to himself before nodding. "Very good. It's all thanks to you, master." Zhuang Jing pursed her lips as a seductive look appeared on her face. Even the tip of her brows seemed to be overflowing with charm. Lin Jie looked back and forth between the horny-looking Zhuang Jing and Qin Lai. The hint of a blush suddenly colored her cheeks. She had abruptly recalled the lecherous scene behind the bathroom door when Qin Lai left the place not long ago. Today, Zhuang Jing was clearly inviting Qin Lai for more promiscuous action. It both surprised and disgusted her. "This horny wench," Lin Jie swore in her own head. Suddenly, they all sensed the powerful soul presence of a rank 9 vermilion bird heading their way hurriedly. Tong Yen had just returned to Baluo realm. She already knew that Tang Yuan, Nivit, and the others had secretly slipped to the outer space to ambush the martial practitioners of Sun Palace and Lunar Temple. While Tang Yuan and Nivit were gone, It was her duty to protect the ancient beast race. Naturally, the Azura race soul altar experts' auras hadn't escaped her perception. Afraid that danger had befallen them, Tong Yen quickly flew out of her cultivation room and rushed over. At nearly the same time, Carrie of the Cullen family turned pale with fright. "I sense my kin." "Several," Carrie cried out, and before rushing over to "Put down the stuff and head back for now," Qin Lai ordered quickly. The Azura elders threw down the gigantic abyss devil bones, bowed at him, and returned to the underground cave on the other side of the star door. By the time Tong Yen had arrived, the 3 Azura clansmen had vanished, and the star door had gradually disappeared. 10 or so seconds later, Carrie finally appeared with a look of confusion. Absolutely nothing was left by the time he arrived. Tong Yen was going to ask Qin Lai something, but a frown immediately sprung to her face when she saw Carrie. She scolded him without mercy. "You are in the ancient beast race's territory. We may have allowed you to stay in this place, but that doesn't mean you can travel wherever you want to." "Sorry. I couldn't help myself because I sensed the soul aura of a kin just now. Please forgive me," Carrie apologized. He was in the ancient beast race's territory, and the Cullen family was currently relying on the ancient beast race's charity. Naturally, he had to act cautiously. As the head of the Cullen family, he didn't want to cause the death of his family with his recklessness. This was especially true considering how powerful the rank 9 vermilion bird Tong Yen was. She was so powerful he felt like he had zero chance of beating her. "Please leave now," Tong Yen snorted. Carrie shot Qin Lai an embarrassed look. He looked like he wanted to say something. Qin Lai maintained an indifferent expression and kept quiet. He obviously wasn't going to help Carrie out here. Carrie sighed quietly and clasped his hands in respect. He had no choice but to leave them. "Those Azura clansmen, are they?" Tong Yen frowned slightly as she chose her words. "Are they your tamed subordinates?" She had obviously heard some news from the departed Teng Yuan and Nivet. "Yes, it's them." Qin Lai didn't try to conceal the truth from her. He pointed at the giant bones at their feet and said, "We can build an altar that connects to another realm with these bones. Once Teng Yuan and the others have returned from the other realms, the ancient beast race and the other races of Baluo realm can gather their strength and go hunt in that realm." "Do you need my help?" Tong Yan's eyes lit up. "Please help me move these over there." Qin Lai pointed at the 7 continents floating nearby. "All right." Tong Yen nodded. She actually didn't ask for any details at all. "What is going on, father?" Serene rushed forward to meet a depressed Carrie after she saw him. Hester, Naji, Josh, and the rest of the Cullen family did the same. Many of them had bloodshot eyes. The recent days had been the most miserable experience the Cullen family had ever had in their lives. They were chased out of their homes, forced to live under an ally's roof, and without hope towards the future. Most of them didn't even feel like cultivating. Carrie felt gloomy when he saw these people. A helpless and forlorn feeling rose in his heart. He knew that his entire family had suffered because of his ambition. Because Naji stole the Dark Soul Beast's skull, and Serene came to have a strange connection with it, the family had to part ways with the Azura realm completely. In the end, the Dark Soul Beast their entire family put high hopes in had exploded because of Qin Lai, leaving them with nothing. They lost everything without gaining what they hoped to get. Everything the family once possessed was ruined by their enemies too. Carrie felt incredibly helpless. He didn't know how to save the Cullen family. He didn't know who could save the Cullen family. Just a few minutes ago, the presence of unfamiliar brethren had terrified him because he thought that they were hunters from Azura realm or the Dark Soul Beast's minions. He had become as weak-minded as a bird that was startled by the mere twang of a bough. "It's nothing. I think I sensed our brethren just now. But they were not familiar to me." He actually turned around to console them after smiling bitterly. "We're in Baluo realm right now, so I doubt they're from the 5 families of Azura realm. They're probably from the other Azura race branch in Baluo realm. I thought they were all enslaved by the Dark Soul Beast already? Why have they come over?" Hester asked in surprise. "I don't know. I only saw Qin Lai and the rank 9 vermilion bird." Carrie shook his head. "Qin Lai? Serene looked surprised. He was with our brethren earlier? If they were even there, I haven't actually seen them, Carrie said. Serene pondered for a moment before saying, a few hours ago, I stopped sensing that stifling, terrifying pressure in my soul. What do you mean? Naji asked in confusion. The Dark Soul Beast has probably left Baluo realm, Serene said. What? Everyone exclaimed in surprise. Does that mean we're finally safe? Hester looked overjoyed. Even Carrie was moved a little. It was at this moment Gu Rongguang flew over on an exquisite flying spirit artifact. The flying spirit artifact came to a halt in the Cullen family's airspace. Standing on the flying spirit artifact, Gu Rongguang looked at the Azura clansmen and bowed slightly in greeting. My master wishes to meet you all at Seven Spirits Islands when the seventh moon rises in Baluo realm. 7 Spirits Islands? Carrie looked confused. Gu Rongguang turned sideways and pointed at a clump of 7 continents floating not far away in the distance. These are 7 Spirits Islands, Flaming Sun Island's headquarters in Baluo realm. Qin Lai is your master? An odd light flashed past Serene's eyes. Gu Rongguang nodded smilingly before continuing. For your knowledge, the invite is extended to the entire Cullen family. After that, Gu Rongguang turned around and left the area. The Cullen family gathered around and discussed about the invitation with great doubt. Right now, 5 silver moons were suspended in the sky. When the 7th moon rises, Carrie frowned deeply. Time passed quickly. The Cullen family hadn't arrived at a decision yet, but suddenly they saw a lot of human experts pouring out of the mountain peak, where the ancient beast race's secret realm entrance was situated. Su Ran, Lei Yen, and many familiar faces from the Terminator sect were leading a lot of Nirvana and imperishable realm experts towards 7 Spirits Islands. That wasn't all. Feng Yi, Qiyong, and Jiang'an were moving out of the mountain peak as well. They're the strongest forces in the land of chaos. Where are they headed to? Hester exclaimed. For many years, Hester was the liaison between the Cullen family and the Terminator sect. He often traveled between the continents of the land of chaos in order to carry out his duties. He was intimately familiar with the leaders and soul altar experts of the land of chaos. That was also why Hester was stunned beyond words to see the elites of the land of chaos entering Baluo realm and flying towards 7 Spirits Islands. When the 7th moon rises, Carrie inhaled deeply before declaring, since Qin Lai had invited us to his place, we may as well head over and see what it's all about. The Horned Demon race, the Dark Shadow race, even the Ghost Eye race had come to Baluo realm. Suddenly, the Cullen family's elderly servant Josh cried out. The Cullen family immediately noticed that the 3 great races of Netherrealm were pouring out of the mountain peak as well. Their destination was the same as the Silver Rank forces. The ancient beast clansmen were spread out in some valleys and forests at the perimeter of the ancient beast race's territory. They seemed to be aware of today's event, because none of them looked surprised by this. That being said, they were watching the newcomers closely and ready for anything. So this is Baluo realm. Look, there are actually 7 moons in the sky. Beautiful. So beautiful. Feng Yi exclaimed in admiration as he led Celestial Artifact Sect's experts towards 7 Spirits Islands. Qin Lai must have a pretty formidable status in Baluo realm. Qiyong looked at the wary ancient beast clansmen scattered at the perimeter and the 7 floating continents named 7 Spirits Islands. These 7 Spirits Islands were probably named after the 7 forbidden lands of the Graveyard of Gods. It's probably Song Tingyu's idea. 7 Spirits Islands are way bigger than Flaming Sun Island. This means that Flaming Sun Island has put down their roots in Baluo realm already, Wang En said. The humans clicked their tongues in wonder as they praised the Baluo realm. Their recognition of Flaming Sun Island's strength and Qin Lai's abilities had also been renewed. Luz, is this where you and your people were trapped in for several thousand years? Gordon of the Horned Demon race opened his eyes wide and sucked in a deep breath. Then, he said, this shitty place seriously isn't suited for us. No nether realm plant or demon armor insect could endure the 3 suns of Baluo realm, Luz replied bitterly. We're lucky that it's currently nighttime, or this place would be even more unbearable. You and your people truly are a tenacious bunch. You actually stayed here for over 3,000 years. Gray exclaimed. It's not like we had a choice. We had to adapt in order to survive. Luz said casually while shrugging. Well, I was asleep for a very long time, so I escaped plenty of terrible experiences. Luz's tone and appearance made it clear their life here had been very tragic. If Qinlai hadn't helped us, we would have been eliminated by Sun Palace and Lunar Temple, Luz said calmly. As they got closer to Seven Spirits Islands, Gordon and Gray spoke at the same time. The Venerable One has a good grandson. Luz's mouth split into a grin as he nodded. As of right now, he's just as good as the Qin family's patriarch. He's destined to surpass Qin Hao, Lapu said calmly. He had come along with his people. Surpass Qin Hao, you say? Luz looked surprised for a second before he smiled in response. I guess that isn't impossible. You guys sure think highly of him. Gray, clan chief of the Ghost Eye race, let out a chuckle. Qin Hao was the most likely cultivator to surpass the 3 human emperors before his soul altar was destroyed. Are you saying that Qinlai's going to become stronger than even the 3 emperors? You'll understand what I mean in the future. The height Qinlai may reach in the future is something none of you may ever be able to imagine. Lapu spoke with eyes that reminded that of a zealot. The 3 peak experts of Netherrealm couldn't help but be moved by Lapu's declaration. For some reason, they suddenly felt that Lapu's declaration might very well become a reality. It was an indescribable and unfathomable, yet a most profound feeling. At the largest floating continent of Seven Spirits Islands, Qinlai stood at the entrance of a giant rock palace and looked at the experts of all races advancing towards his direction. The young man grinned and let out a clear, bright laugh. Welcome to the expedition to the abyss. To become a gold rank force, Feng Yi declared gallantly. To evolve our bloodline to rank 10, Gordon roared. To see the outside world, Chuli smiled. By now, Carrie and the Cullen family had set foot on the giant island as well. They knew that Qinlai had summoned them over to transport them to another world after he heard the people's shouts and the looks of excitement and curiosity on their faces. He knew nothing about the abyss. However, when Carrie saw the look of excitement, hope towards the future, passion and curiosity towards an unknown world on everyone's faces, his mind was suddenly made up. He decided that he would lead his entire family into the abyss. Tang Yuan, Nivet, Tyler, Barrett, Calvert, and Banderas were currently hanging around at a ring-shaped crystalline wall in space. The ancient beasts, dragons, and the golden giant stayed very still as they waited. There was neither gravity nor world spirit energy in space. There was only eternal coolness and solitude. The ring-shaped crystalline wall was the outer layer of Boluo realm. According to the star token, Lunar Temple and Sun Palace's martial practitioners had to pass through this place if they wished to enter Boluo realm. They had been waiting here for some time already. There was an Azura race elder on the Barrett's incredibly fat back. He had curled himself into a ball and was carefully resisting the ever-present corrosive powers of space. Rip! Star-shaped door appeared, and Qinlai's soul beast avatar emerged from within. The soul beast used its transformation ability to transform into Qinlai's human form so that it wouldn't surprise Tang Yuan and everyone. At first, they thought that this Qinlai was the real Qinlai. However, they quickly sensed a sea of refined flesh and blood energy and soul energy from this Qinlai. They immediately noticed that he was different from normal. Is this the dark soul beast? Tang Yuan was a 100-meter-tall giant ape with gray-yellow mane in his true form. He curiously moved closer and examined Qinlai. The others did the same too. These Boluo realm's denizens were all considered huge in Boluo realm or spirit realm. However, they sat on the opposite spectrum when measured by the scale of the galaxy. Compared to them, Qinlai in his human form was practically as small as a fly. As they moved towards him, Qinlai started swelling up like a balloon. He quickly transformed into a large soul beast in just a short time. The restrictive feeling he felt while he was still in his human form vanished in an instant. That's right. This is my dark soul beast avatar. Qin Lai spoke through the mouth of the soul beast for the first time of his life. It sounded like a rumble of thunder. Although the dark soul beast, blood soul beast, and soul-devouring beast all share different names, they all belong to the soul beast race. This body of mine is the same. Out of all the soul beasts, the dark soul beast is the soul race's most preferred body to host their souls. Who would have thought that the soul beast of Boluo realm would fall into your hands in the end? Barrett sighed. I've met with Tong Yen. She has returned to Boluo realm already. Qin Lai looked at them as he spoke. Right now, my true body is sending the humans of Boluo realm and the experts of Nether realm into the abyss. Once we've taken care of Lunar Temple and Sun Palace, you may send your own people into the abyss and upgrade your own bloodline through the abyss devil's flesh and blood. With your strength, I trust that all of you will be able to achieve a swift breakthrough once you've hunted down a few lords of the abyss. Once you've all reached rank 10 bloodline, even the gold rank forces of the central world won't dare to raise a hand against you, let alone the likes of Lunar Temple and Sun Palace. Qin Lai decisively promised. That's right. Excitement entered their eyes. The peak lifeforms of Boluo realm obviously wanted to enter the abyss since a while ago. They were overall stronger than the human forces of the Land of Chaos and the three great races of Nether realm. This meant that they would be able to reap bigger rewards from the abyss. Their source of strength and evolution were powerful bloodlines and flesh and blood energy. This meant that their bloodlines would evolve faster if they could kill a lord of the abyss. Qin Lai wished them all the best in their path towards the top. I wonder when Lunar Temple and Sun Palace martial practitioners will arrive. Nivit's huge serpentine body wriggled a little. It's so dull just waiting here and doing nothing. There is no world spirit energy in space, and this is the one place we can wait while minimizing energy loss. If we are to venture into space, we will only be wasting energy at a faster rate and risk running into other dangers. Barrett said. I suggest we keep waiting. We have the star token. We can meet up with them in advance and kill them sooner. Nivit suggested. It's unnecessary. Tung Yuan shook his head. There really is no need, Barrett said. They're coming to Boluo realm anyway, and they have to pass through this place. Why would we travel further into space and run the risk of danger when we can just wait and reap the rewards? That's correct. Plus, if we run into an unfamiliar lifeform in the Void Realm or with rank 9 bloodline, even we may be in danger. Teng Yuan also preferred to be cautious. There are countless dangers in the galaxy and many powerful races that we have no knowledge of. The space is a dangerous place even for Genesis Realm experts. There's just no need for us to take on a strenuous and unrewarding journey. I agree that we should wait here too, Tyler said. Everyone chimed in their own opinions on whether to snipe the enemy in advance. It is a good idea to wait. Qin Lai expressed his own thoughts. A moment later, he added, I've never traveled through space before, let alone in soul beast form. It is a very novel experience to me. I'm going to twirl around for a bit and familiarize myself with the environment. After that, Qin Lai left the group and flew into the space nearby. He chose not to bring the Azura soul servant with him. Tung Yuan and the others knew that all first-timers in space were incredibly curious about the infinite galaxy around them. They all understood the reason behind Qin Lai's actions. They all had felt the same excitement when they first broke through the crystal barrier of Boluo realm and entered into space for the first time. That was why they didn't try to stop him. At another dark corner of the galaxy, a meteor was flying across space at high speed. Miao Yitzi, Ma Feng, Gong Shengyuan, and Zhuo Weidan were seated quietly on the meteor. They were currently cultivating using high-quality spirit stones to restore the spirit energy they lost. How much longer until we reach Boluo realm? Ma Feng suddenly opened his eyes and asked. Gong Shengyuan took out his star token and fiddled with it using spirit energy. The star token slowly lit up. After he was done checking their path, Gong Shengyuan smiled. We should reach the outer crystalline walls of Boluo realm in 3 months. That soon? Ma Feng looked surprised. Gong Shengyuan pointed at the meteor beneath them. It's all thanks to this unbelievably fast meteor. Miss Miao's control over the meteor is just as impressive, Zhuo Weidan praised. Originally, the meteor wasn't headed towards Baluo realm. It was Miao Yitzi who had constructed a strange formation inside the meteor. That was why its trajectory was altered. It saved them a huge amount of time and effort. "Promise me one thing," Miao Yitzi said suddenly. The trio glanced at her in surprise and waited for further explanation. "When I've constructed the secret realm entrance, Lunar Temple and Sun Palace's martial practitioners will surge into Baluo realm." Miao Yitzi looked at them. "When that happens, I want you to help find someone." "Who is it?" Ma Feng asked curiously. "Qin Lai," Miao Yitzi answered indifferently. "Qin Lai?" Ma Feng looked confused. "Which Qin Lai? Wait a second, you can't be referring to the Qin Lai from the Qin family, right?" Gong Shengyuan wore an odd look on his face when he said this. "That boy was dead for 300 years already. That is exactly who I want you to find. He may be living in Baluo realm right now." Miao Yitzi looked at the trio. "I want you to find him and give him to me." "Are you certain it is that Qin Lai?" Zhuo Weidan asked seriously. They hadn't kept up with the latest news of the Central World because they were on the road. That was why they had no idea that Qin Lai was still alive until now. "It is him," Miao Yitzi answered coolly. "If it's really him, we don't have a say in this matter." Zhuo Weidan frowned. "We'll need to ask for permission from the higher-ups first after the secret realm entrance in Baluo realm is rebuilt. Young Master Qin's identity is too sensitive. I don't even think Lunar Temple or Sun Palace could decide whether he lives or dies." "That is true," Ma Feng said helplessly. "What if I found him and captured him myself? Can you leave him to me then?" Miao Yitzi asked further. The trio looked troubled by her request. Miao Yitzi snorted coldly before declaring, "I won't build the secret REA entrance immediately after I arrive at Baluo realm. I'll help you only after I find that bastard." Her eyes were full of coldness and hatred. The trio suddenly felt a coming headache. "Don't forget, you won't get your secret realm entrance if I don't get Qin Lai." Miao Yitzi stared at the trio with cold eyes. After she had expressed her desire clearly, Miao Yitzi slowly got up. She was dressed in a plain white traditional dress. "I'm leaving. I'll come back after I've surveyed the nearby areas." She flew away from the meteor as a beam of white light after that. "What should we do?" Ma Feng looked very worried. What on earth happened between her and Qin Lai? Zhuo Weidan from Sun Palace asked curiously. "I recall that she and her senior brother were very close with the Qin family, weren't they? In the past, they also helped build many secret realm entrances at large realms for the Qin family. Qin Lai is the Qin family's young master, isn't he? What on earth did he do to her to earn such enmity?" "You don't know?" Ma Feng exclaimed. Zhuo Weidan shook his head in response. Gong Xingyuan from Lunar Temple chuckled in an odd tone before answering. "She respects Senior Qin a lot. That was why she lent her aid to the Qin family many times in the past. However, she could never grow to like Qin Lai because she thought that he was a disgrace to the Qin family. She often scolded and reprimanded him in hopes that he could put a little more effort in improving himself and honor the Qin family as is his duty." "Is that all?" Zhuo Weidan inquired deeper. "Of course not." Gong Shengyuan looked around to make sure that Miao Yitzi was really gone. Then, he lowered his voice and continued his explanation. "Unfortunately, that Qin Lai was a hopeless case. Not only did her shock therapy fail entirely, that boy even sought to do bad things to her." A pause later, Gong Shengyuan continued. "I heard that kid had procured a potent aphrodisiac and gifted it to her, claiming that it was a rare pill that could improve her soul powers. He had wanted to take her on his bed. Did he succeed?" Zhuo Weidan's eyes burned with lust. "Hee, watch yourself." Gong Shengyuan scolded him once before continuing. "Of course he failed. From what I heard, she noticed that something was amiss the second the pill entered her mouth. She was so furious she nearly killed Qin Lai on the spot. She must respect Senior Qin a lot to not have killed Qin Lai considering her temper." Ma Feng muttered to himself. That kid's sexual urge must be through the heavens to dare drug a void realm Miao Yitzi at his level. Zhuo Weidan clicked his tongue in wonder. Damn it, we would think about it. But we would never dare try to drug her even if given the opportunity, right? You can try if you're not afraid to die. Ma Feng said mockingly. Forget it. I'm not planning to die anytime soon. Zhuo Weidan bowed his head. After that, she left the Qin family entirely despite Senior Qin's persuasions. Gong Xinyuan smiled. And she was lucky she left, because the Qin family was attacked by the six great forces soon after. That Qin Lai boy was lucky he escaped Miao Yizi's wrath. But he then went to Han Qian and finally got himself killed. He deserved what he got. Ma Feng snorted. She just said that that boy is still alive, Gong Xinyuan said. Still alive, huh? Ma Feng smiled coldly. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. There's nothing he can change even if he's still alive. In fact, it may be good news to the six great forces that a good-for-nothing like him survived. That's true. Gong Xinyuan laughed. Amidst the stars, there was a group of immobile meteors emitting weak spatial energy. The beautiful Miao Yizi was flashing around inside the clump of meteors again and again like a white shade. Swoosh! She abruptly came to a stop above a gray-white meteor. A beautiful hand seal suddenly appeared around Miao Yizi's hands as tendrils of cold, silver light swiftly transformed into many spatial blades. The spatial blade assembled themselves deftly into a drill. Drat, drat, drat. The drill-shaped spatial blades drilled into the meteor at high speed. A hole that could fit up to two people was formed very soon. Ding dang! Suddenly, the clang of metal resounded from inside the meteor. The drill-shaped spatial blades immediately stopped. A clear trace of joy passed through Miao Yizi's cool eyes. She jumped into the hole right away. Not long after, she walked out of the hole holding a rock emitting a clear ripple of spatial energy. It was a space spirit stone that could be used to build and power up a secret realm entrance. It was even as big as a lower millstone. Normally, space spirit stones could only be excavated from meteors in space. In Spirit Realm, it could only be found in strange places where spatial energy was in constant turmoil, and spatial rifts were a common occurrence. Even then, there was only a very small chance that a space spirit stone could be found in such places. I'm pretty lucky today. Miao Yizi's eyebrows smoothed as the gentle lines on her face curled into a faint smile. The huge space spirit stone floated just before her wholesome breasts as she spun it repeatedly with her finger. She was grading the space spirit stone and the spatial energy it contained by examining it from every possible corner. A while later, she nodded slightly to herself and tried to put the space spirit stone into her spatial ring. However, her expression changed suddenly before she could do so. She abruptly glanced towards the distance and exclaimed, "Who's there?" ZZZT. Spatial rays that looked like bright, giant blades quickly appeared around her. The giant blades flew around and cut many meteors into pieces. She stared straight towards the front. "Human, you are trespassing the secret realm entrance of the lizard race." A violent voice came from the meteor group before her. Many explosions could be heard from the same area. A few foreigners that were half human and half lizards appeared from the destroyed meteors. They looked exactly like the lizardmen Qi Yan and Huijia Qinlai had encountered at the ruined lands before. The lizard race's secret realm entrance? Disdain appeared on Miao Yizi's face. The lizard race is just a third-class race that can't even find a spot for themselves in spirit realm. Do you really think the likes of you are qualified to make any threats in outer space? Swoosh! Her spatial blades flew straight into the lizardmen. Many rank 7 and 8 lizardmen were instantly decapitated by her attack. Forefather! The human is killing us. Please come to our aid. Forefather! The lizardmen cried for help even as some of them screamed loudly in pain. A rice-sized black spot abruptly grew bigger from the center of those destroyed meteors. A dozen or so seconds later, a black blurry hole had appeared in space like a giant well. A violent soul roared from behind the hole as if it was trying to make its way out. A quick probe brought a frown to Miao Yizi's face immediately. She could sense that this newcomer was probably at the same level as she was. Suddenly, she noticed that she might have been too reckless. At the same time, Qin Lai was roaming the galaxy nearby as a soul beast. He was stretching his soul everywhere like tentacles in search for lifeforms. There's something over there. He immediately activated his dark soul bloodline ability and concealed his powerful soul magnetic field. His body traversed the dark space at high speed. The soul activity of Qianlai's soul beast avatar was quickly concealed after he activated his dark soul bloodline ability. The soul beast's gigantic body also became a dozen or so times smaller after transforming. The near-invisible soul tentacles unique to the soul beast were made up of wisps of soul energy. They were stretching continuously to his surroundings. He had gotten used to space at this point. A meteor group. It didn't take long for him to find the clump of meteors. The soul beast avatar continued to stretch forwards like a loach without alerting anyone of its arrival. Then, he saw meteors exploding and energy ripples from the edge of the meteor group. He moved towards it swiftly. The soul beast avatar hid behind a larger meteor, shrinking its body yet again. He quietly watched the fierce battle that was ensuing in front of him. Amidst the exploding meteors, tens of lizard men were ganging up on a woman dressed in white. The debris prevented him from seeing the woman's face at first notice. He only knew that she was well versed in the power of space, and that she could conjure all kinds of amazing spirit arts. She had created some sort of strange domain around herself that could cause the space to collapse. When the lizard men got close to her, they would be cut to shreds by many spatial blades. Cut limbs, decapitated heads, and blood danced around her madly. It was an incredibly demonic, cruel, and bloody scene. However, the woman's plain white battle robes were completely clean. Not even the gray debris floating in space could get close to her. She looked like a war goddess in a bloody battlefield. She tossed out cold spatial blades from both hands and reaped lives wherever she went. The spatial blades joined together into a web and flew towards the lizardmen. There was a hot white flash, and a lizard man was instantly cut into pieces. Roars came occasionally from a pitch-black hole near the lizardmen. Each ripple of the black hole was followed by a new lizardman coming out and joining the fray. There also seemed to be a lizardman expert with an incredibly powerful soul rushing over from the other side of the secret space entrance. The white-dressed woman was fearless despite standing amidst the sea of blood and broken limbs. She didn't look like she was planning to run away from this place. She continued to cut down the newly emerged lizardmen with all she got. Space collapsed wherever she went. Qianlai still couldn't see her face clearly because of the blood and debris flying all over the place. But he did see her kill another dozen or so lizardmen in but a moment. A lot of them had soul altars too. She easily executed many strange spirit arts such as spatial blades, spatial restrictions, space shattering, and so on. She had turned the space around her into a meat grinder. Lots of lizard men were dying before they could even retaliate against her. What a fierce and ruthless woman! Qianlai thought in surprise. Forefather. Our forefather is here. The remaining lizard men suddenly grew excited. A pitch-black light abruptly appeared from the secret space entrance. The dark light swiftly took on the form of an old and burly lizard man. He had a tail as big and long as a giant python. His tail was covered in sinister thorns. The thorns were giving out black poisonous smoke that smelled like acid. Roar! The old lizard man roared as sticky black liquid appeared on its gray-brown skin. These liquid also reeked of corrosion. It seemed to be a deadly poison as well. Humans! You are not yet the true rulers of the galaxy. You must pay the price for your actions. The old lizardman's dark blue eyes gleamed with bloodthirst and violence. It swayed its tail back and forth repeatedly. Clap, clap, clap. Black ripples appeared as its tail swayed. The ripples somehow turned into bright, black-colored rings. The black rings that reeked of acid flew towards the white-dressed woman as if they were controlled by its soul. Bang! An explosion immediately occurred the moment they came into contact with the spatial domain the woman had created around herself. The spinning flesh and suspended debris immediately scattered to the surroundings. All floating obstacles quickly vanished from the area. The broken limbs, blood, bones, and rocks were pushed away from the woman by the shockwave. The woman's true appearance was revealed instantly. The woman wore a plain white traditional dress, and her black hair was coiled into a bun. She had a wonderful figure, and she had a pair of eyes that were cold, proud, and very intimidating. Qin Lai shuddered the moment he saw her. An indescribable feeling abruptly surged from the depths of his soul. He immediately realized that his other self admired and feared this woman at the same time. Miao Yitzi. He immediately figured out that she was the woman who had accompanied Lunar Temple and Sun Palace's martial practitioners to Baluo Realm. When he noticed this, he immediately stretched his soul tentacles farther into the surroundings. He wanted to see if Ma Feng and the others were nearby. At the same time, he was wondering if he should send a message to Tang Yuan and the others right now. Bang! More black rings were fired at the strange domain around Miao Yitzi from the old lizardman's tail. The spatial energy inside the domain swiftly ran dry after a series of violent explosions. The old lizardman roared as it extended its soul aura into the secret space entrance. Not long after, a burly man with a dragon's head but a human's body walked out. He was obviously an expert of the Dragonman race. The moment he appeared, Qin Lai immediately probed his soul presence and concluded that he was at the same level as the old lizardman. Dragonmen and lizardmen were best friends with each other. They worked together in the ruined lands, and they had close alliance here as well. It was rumored that the realms of their respective races were interconnected. It was obvious that the lizard race was completely angered after Miao Yitzi had killed many of their clansmen at their secret space entrance. The old lizard man even went so far as to invite his best friend, a dragon man, to help him. Who is this, Shadow? Who is killing your people? The burly dragon man roared immediately after he emerged from the black hole. His body was glowing with fire that looked like molten gold. It's a female human. The old lizard man called Shadow pointed cruelly at Miao Yitzi. The moment the burly dragon man set his large, golden eyes at her, lust and irritation immediately sprung into his eyes. Before Shadow could say anything else, he let out a furious roar and charged towards Miao Yitzi immediately. A golden pillar suddenly appeared in his hands. The spirit artifact was covered in mysterious patterns that flowed across its body like actual water. Golden light was gathered at one point. Miao Yitzi shot a glance at the charging lizardman. Her bright eyes abruptly became fixed on the golden pillar. A strange look appeared on her face. Did you get your spirit artifact from the Qin family? Miao Yitzi frowned coldly at the dragon man moving towards her. Were you ordered by the Qin family to stay here? Suddenly, she started suspecting her senior brother of ulterior motives. The Qin family? It is true that this spirit artifact is made by the Qin family. I had to spend a huge sum of cultivation materials in exchange for it. The burly dragon man slowed down and gave her a strange grin. Everyone knows that the Qin family had opened their trading channels for all powerful ancient races ever since they left the central world. Anyone with sufficient spirit materials can buy the high-grade spirit artifacts they make. So, you haven't come here on purpose? Miao Yitzi asked calmly. We have no relations to the Qin family, the burly man roared. Good, Miao Yitzi replied. The second she said this, tens of thousands of spatial blades abruptly flew out of her long sleeves like dancing butterflies. The spatial blades abruptly joined into a web and swiftly flew toward the dragon man. The black rings that had entered her space were disrupted by a surge of spatial energy and repelled to the distance. At the same time, Miao Yitzi backed off a bit and sent out an extremely well-concealed soul message. Behind a meteor, Qin Lai acutely detected the soul message after he had hidden himself with his bloodline ability. He shot a glance at Miao Yitzi and pondered for a short moment. He sneaked away from the battlefield. The direction he was moving toward was where Miao Yitzi had sent her message to, and where Ma Feng and the others were at. Qin Lai's soul beast avatar was extremely perceptive of souls, no matter how well concealed or weak they were. Therefore, he was able to capture the direction the soul strand of Miao Yitzi flew in. He followed the soul message and left the meteor group before he knew it. At the same time, he sent an order to his Azura race soul servant. At the outer crystalline wall of Baluo realm, the Azura race old man suddenly raised an eyebrow and exclaimed, Tang Yuan? Nivet and everyone else quickly gathered around him. What's wrong? Teng Yuan asked. Master has discovered the enemy's precise location, the soul servant said. Then lead us there, Teng Yuan replied. It's a little far. How far? Nivet exclaimed. The soul servant was about to answer the question when an unnatural soul energy abruptly came from nearby. A star door soon emerged in that location. The real Qin Lai abruptly passed through the star door. Qin Lai, Barrett exclaimed. That's his real body, Teng Yuan said. The enemy is still too far away from us. It'll take you maybe half a month to intercept them with your speed. Qin Lai immediately circulated the eight-eyed demon spirit's bloodline the moment he appeared. The star door he came through vanished first. Then, he used star door latent ability again. This way, he pointed at the star door. Teng Yuan and the others were astonished, but they didn't waste too much time hesitating. They passed through the star door one after another. You stay here. After Teng Yuan and everyone else had gone through the star door, Qin Lai went through it himself. They all appeared next to the soul beast avatar. Only his real self could open a star door whenever he wanted because he had the eight-eyed demon spirit's bloodline. Not even the soul beast shared such a miraculous connection with its soul servants. If he wanted to send Teng Yuan's group to the soul beast avatar's current location immediately, he had to rely on his own bloodline power. That was why his real self was forced to travel through space. First, he had opened a star door from Baluo realm to reach the Azura race soul servant he left with Teng Yuan's group. He had to spend a large amount of bloodline energy to do this. Then, he created a second star door to send Teng Yuan's group and himself straight to the soul beast avatar's side. The task used a lot of bloodline energy as well. As a result, the real Qin Lai looked a little pale after he had convened with his soul beast avatar. He had obviously exhausted too much refined flesh and blood energy. He had no choice but to take out the demon sealing tombstone and absorb the energy stored within. Where is the enemy right now? Teng Yuan asked urgently. They're on a meteor that's headed towards Baluo realm. Qin Lai's soul beast avatar extended a sinister-looking hoof towards the distance. His real self sat on the soul beast's shoulder. Do you want to return to Baluo realm first? Nivet frowned. Your real self is only in the Nirvana realm, right? Can you endure the outer space? Nivet's worry reminded everyone else that Qin Lai probably couldn't endure the environment. They all urged him to leave as soon as possible. Qin Lai himself was caught off guard. He had heard of far, far too many dangers in the outer space. He knew he needed to be a Void Realm expert at minimum to be able to fly freely here. Naturally, a Nirvana Realm cultivator couldn't possibly survive in the outer space. However, when he closed his eyes and checked his own status for a bit, he discovered that the unknown invasive powers of the outer space didn't seem to affect him at all. The discovery surprised him to no end. He couldn't help but inspect his bloodline activities carefully. It's the eight-eyed demon spirit's bloodline. The eight-eyed demon spirit's bloodline appeared incredibly active and lively in this environment. The eight-eyed demon spirit's blood contained a latent ability called the Star Door. This trait obviously marked the eight-eyed demon spirit as one of the mysterious races most suited for space travel. He could clearly sense the eight-eyed demon spirit's bloodline rejecting many of the corrosive powers of space from his body. It was almost like how the spirits of void and chaos had protected him while he was in the chaotic streams of space. The spirits of void and chaos were like the darlings of the chaotic streams of space. They were unaffected by the chaotic spatial energy, and they were fearless in the face of the spatial tornadoes and the ever-present chaotic spatial currents. Similarly, the eight-eyed demon spirit's bloodline made sure that he could hold his own in the outer space. I'm fine. He smiled at his companions. Don't worry about me. The unknown invasive powers of the outer space are ineffective against me. Ineffective? Nivet looked shocked. Barrett's eyes were wide open as he exclaimed, According to my knowledge, not even the god race can travel through the outer space when they're just at rank 7. Banderas and Teng Yuan stared at Qin Lai in astonishment too when they heard this. Ma Feng, Gong Shengyuan, and Zhuo Weidan from Lunar Temple. They are all on the meteor right in front of us. Qin Lai's real body closed its eyes while absorbing the refined flesh and blood energy inside the demon-sealing tombstone. His soul beast avatar pointed at the direction they should take. It was obvious that Qin Lai had no intentions of enlightening them this time. Tang Yuan and the others were all smart people. They wisely decided against hounding Qin Lai for an answer. They allowed their attention to be diverted towards the meteor. "I'll come with you all. My soul beast avatar needs to go somewhere else." Qin Lai's mangy body jumped away from the soul beast as he seated himself on the demon-sealing tombstone. He moved towards Nivit while he continued to absorb refined flesh and blood energy. Nivit didn't say anything. He automatically moved towards Qin Lai and caught him. His soul beast avatar had turned around and moved back towards the meteor group where Miao Yitzi was battling the lizardmen and dragonmen. It's Miao Yitzi's soul message. Meanwhile, on the flying meteor, Ma Feng immediately stood up when he received the message. She seems to be in trouble. She's currently caught up with the lizard race and dragonman race. She's calling us over to aid her in eliminating the enemies. Let's go. Gong Xingyuan and Zhuo Weidan rose to their feet. Truthfully, they were just escorts and bodyguards whose duty was to ensure Miao Yitzi arrived safely at Baluo Realm on this trip. After all, Miao Yitzi was the only one among them who had advanced mastery in the power of space and was capable of building a secret realm entrance. Therefore, they absolutely couldn't allow anything to happen to Miao Yitzi before the secret realm entrance were built. The trio were in a hurry to reach Miao Yitzi the moment they received this news. All three had unleashed their soul altars and sat themselves on it. They were just about to fly towards Miao Yitzi's location. Suddenly, Ma Feng exclaimed, "Wait! I sense something." The three soul altar experts hastily stopped themselves and examined the distant space warily. "You shall not pass." A cold, hard voice rang from the darkness ahead as a figure gradually came into view. After the voice had ended, even more giants appeared one after another. A rank 9 ancient beast clansman. A golden giant. Demon Dragon Barret. The three humans cried out in shock. They were Lunar Temple and Sun Palace's Void Realm experts. They had all traveled to Baluo Realm once or twice when the secret realm entrances still existed. They all recognized the peak existences of Baluo Realm. That was why Ma Feng's soul was shaking in fear the moment their enemies showed up. He immediately noticed that a disaster had befallen their heads. They instantly figured out why Tang Yuan and his group had shown up here. "My name is Qin Lai. I've purposely came here to ensure that your corpses are preserved in outer space for eternity." Qin Lai smiled brightly at them while still standing on the demon-sealing tombstone behind Nivit's neck. "Oh right, I also have a name called Yao Tian. I am the one who had destroyed Lunar Temple and Sun Palace's secret realm entrances." "Are you Qin Lai of the Qin family?" The light of shock suddenly burst out of Gong Xingyuan's eyes. Qin Lai bowed slightly and smiled. "It is I." Ma Feng, Gong Xingyuan, and Zhuo Weidan's expressions slowly turned serious. As they examined Qin Lai from head to toe, they thought to themselves, Yao Tian. All three of them hailed from either Lunar Temple or Sun Palace. They'd also frequented Baluo Realm many times in the past. Therefore, they weren't completely unfamiliar with the situation of Baluo Realm. When Jun Hongxian of Baluo Realm sought for help from the Spirit Realm's Sun Palace, the name Yao Tian was repeatedly brought up. Lunar Temple was aware that a human boy had triggered all the drastic changes in Baluo Realm. That human was called Yao Tian. Before today, the trio thought that Yao Tian had only convinced the Dark Shadow race to turn down Sun Palace's and Lunar Temple's recruitment attempts and join the Demon Dragon race. It was something that made them pay attention to Yao Tian. But now, Qin Lai had appeared and told them that he was the one who destroyed Lunar Temple and Sun Palace's secret realm entrances. Their surprise grew at the revelation. They had all heard of the Qin Lai from 300 years ago. They just couldn't believe that the Qin Lai of the stories could commit so many astonishing feats in Baluo Realm. It completely contradicted with the Qin Lai they were familiar with. "No, you don't look like him. You're not him." Ma Feng frowned deeply before he let out a snort. "I've seen the real Qin Lai with my own eyes. It doesn't matter. I don't have to prove anything to you. Qin Lai smiled and replied in a light tone. You're all going to die anyway, so why would I bother explaining anything to you? He turned around and looked at Teng Yuan's group. You guys should already know what to do, right? We haven't come all the way just to experience the sceneries of the outer space. Nivit's triangular eyes sparkled with iciness. If they survive, Baluo realm will be invaded en masse by Sun Palace and Lunar Temple. We're not going to stand by and let this happen, of course. Leave none alive, Teng Yuan yelled. Boom! The golden giant Banderas glowed golden as his aura condensed into a beacon of golden light. It was a pillar of light made of the purest essence of metal. There seemed to be countless sharp, golden bolts of lightning dancing inside the pillar. The golden giant Banderas was built like a metal giant. He turned into a golden beam and dashed as the pillar of light flew straight towards Ma Feng. A sea of golden light was being discharged from Banderas's body too. At first glance, he looked like a golden meteor dragging a long golden tail of light behind him. The 5-level soul altar expert Ma Feng immediately turned serious. His soul altar suddenly swelled into a bright silver cloud. Thousands of cool, bright moonlight wriggled inside his soul altar like a school of fish. Extreme in cold moon, Ma Feng became surrounded by dazzling moonlight. Many rays of radiant moonlight entered his soul altar. The cloud-shaped soul altar abruptly took on the shape of a crescent moon. Ma Feng looked like he was sitting on top of a silver moon disk. After the soul altar had transformed into a moon disk, it continuously discharged moonlight and illuminated the starlight around him, as if it was curious, eager to uncover the truth of its surroundings. Banderas was still several hundred meters away from Ma Feng when he clashed against the moonlight with his pillar of golden light. ZZZT. Golden light and silver moonlight clashed intensely amidst the stars. The resulting sparks were wondrous to watch. It was as if a river of stars had suddenly exploded. Turbulent, sharp energies spilled towards every direction like a tidal wave from the point where golden light and moonlight clashed against one another. The cold, dark, and infinite mass that was space suddenly turned immeasurably beautiful because of this. Behind Ma Feng, Gong Shengyuan of Lunar Temple hurriedly acted as well after he saw his sect mate clash against Banderas of the giant race. Divine Lunar Mirror. A silver mirror appeared from Gong Shengyuan's soul altar and rose high into space. A beam of refined moonlight exited the top of his head and entered the mirror instantly. The mirror then flew away from Gong Shengyuan and hung above Ma Feng's silver moon soul altar as if it was a real moon. The divine lunar mirror contained the blood of many serene moon clansmen. They swam like spirit snakes and drew many exquisite crescent-shaped patterns on the canvas of space. The moment the patterns were fully formed, they became a domain that enhanced the power of the cold moon. It greatly enhanced Ma Feng's soul altar, his power and the moonlight he discharged. Ma Feng, who was just about to come into physical contact with Banderas, looked greatly invigorated as the cold moonlight around his chest suddenly glowed much brighter. The silver moon he unleashed actually started dissolving the pillar of golden light Banderas created. Even Banderas's tough body was cut by the streaks of silver moonlight passing by him. Some of the wounds went as deep as the bones. Yuo! It was at this moment the demon dragon Barret let out a roar that sounded like it came from the depths of hell. The fat Barret twisted his obese body and spat a continuous stream of black flames straight at his enemies. The dragon breath struck the blank area between Ma Feng and Gong Shengyuan. Before long, the space between Ma Feng and Gong Shengyuan was completely flooded by black flames. The evil dragon Calvert moved past the sea of black flames with lightning speed. He was right next to Gong Shengyuan when he finally revealed himself, and he swiped fiercely at Gong Shengyuan's 5-level soul altar while letting out a roar. From the looks of it, he was planning to crush Gong Shengyuan's soul altar with his dragon claws in one go. Gong Shengyuan turned pale with fright. He had no choice but to withdraw his divine lunar mirror and fight against Calvert with all his power. Ma Feng couldn't gain the upper hand in his fight against Banderas after the divine lunar mirror had left his side. Meanwhile, Tyler of the Black Jail race laughed sinister as he plunged into the moonlight where Ma Feng was. Tang Yuan and Nivit were keeping Zhuo Weidan of Sun Palace busy. The 3 human 5-level soul altar experts were at best the equal to Banderas or Tyler in individual prowess. However, Tang Yuan, Barrett, and Nivet were all dominantly stronger than that in a one-on-one fight. Moreover, a total of 6 Baluo Realm experts had come to intercept Ma Feng's team before they could reach Baluo Realm. They were overwhelmingly superior compared to the human enemies in this battle. Qin Lai relaxed while observing the battle from atop the demon-sealing tombstone. He knew that Tang Yuan and the others were absolutely capable of taking out the trio. All he needed to do was to prevent the trio from escaping using a secret art. We can't let them escape, or they'll spread the news and cause unnecessary surprises. As he thought of a way to stop them, his gaze slowly moved towards the nearby space. The only way to stop a cultivator from escaping through space is to lock down a space entirely or distort the spatial laws around them. He skimmed through his memories in search of a way to achieve his purpose. The celestial ceiling demon diagram. Suddenly, he recalled the spirit diagram he learned from the spirit pattern pillars back at Armament Sect. The celestial ceiling demon diagram wasn't an ancient spirit diagram, but it was one of the celestial artifact sect's core spirit diagrams. It wasn't a difficult spirit diagram, and it was composed of several basic spirit diagrams. This spirit diagram had the extraordinary effect of locking down space for a short instant. If I replace all those simple spirit diagrams with ancient spirit diagrams and make them more flexible, the celestial ceiling demon diagram's effect could be enhanced several times over. When he thought up to this point, translucent blood droplets suddenly exited his body. The blood beads spun rapidly and floated in space. Every drop of blood was like an ink-soaked brush that were controlled by his soul consciousness. He used them to draw many complicated ancient spirit diagrams. He was trying to execute a forbidden seal, while Tang Yuan's group was fighting against Ma Feng's group. While he was drawing the celestial ceiling demon diagram with his blood, the 8-eyed demon spirit's bloodline resonated strongly with him, suddenly gave him a massive boost of confidence. He was 100% certain that the celestial ceiling demon diagram drawn with his blood and founded using the ancient spirit diagrams would exceed his expectation. It would definitely have a powerful lockdown effect over space. While his real self was drawing the celestial ceiling demon diagram, Qin Lai's soul beast avatar had returned to the meteor group. This time, he didn't try to hide his presence. The soul beast that had revealed its true face charged right through the meteor group and crushed any meteors that happened to be in its way into fine powder. At the same time, its humongous soul energy spread uncontrollably to the surroundings in a violent and overbearing display of its might. Right now, Qin Lai's soul beast avatar was no doubt a space predator. On the other side of the meteor group, Miao Yitzi was growing worried despite still standing her ground firmly against 2 real experts and many low-rank lizardmen and dragonmen. Her allies should have received her message a long time ago. However, they had yet to show up for some reason. Miao Yitzi hadn't bothered to preserve her strength before because she was certain that Ma Feng and the others would come to her rescue. As a result, she was starting to feel fatigued after slaughtering a considerable number of lizardmen. If Ma Feng and the others didn't show up in time, it was only a matter of time before she fell into disadvantage. It was at this moment a terrifyingly huge soul presence suddenly came from afar. When the experts of the 2 races sensed this terrifying presence and stopped what they had been doing almost instantly, fear appeared on their faces. The soul presence of a rank 9 soul beast was like a giant tidal wave. It was a living terror to most intelligent life forms. Both the dragon men and the lizard men felt small and helpless in face of this terrifying soul tide, even if it was still tens of kilometers away from them. What a powerful soul energy! What is that thing that's coming towards us? The giant dragon man named Diego asked urgently with a look of panic. He kept glancing at the secret space entrance. Shadow of the lizard race was also afraid. From his friend's tone, he knew that Diego was probably planning to escape. Both him and Diego thought that this newcomer was Miao Yitzi's ally. He did notice Miao Yitzi sending out a hidden soul message earlier. Although it was almost imperceptible, he caught it all the same. That was why he mistook the newcomer as Miao Yitzi's ally. He thought that she had summoned her ally to fight him and Diego. Miao Yitzi was already a difficult opponent for both him and Diego. How on earth could they win if a stronger and deadlier opponent were to join the battle? It's definitely not one of ours, Shado said nervously. If it's not one of ours, then it has to be her ally. Diego turned pale. Should we hide and wait until the coast is clear? He looked at the secret space entrance behind him again. You guys leave first. Shado turned serious and ordered the remaining lizardmen to escape through the secret space entrance. The wounded band of lizardmen let out a sigh of relief and went back to their homes through the secret space entrance as quickly as they were able. We should still be able to leave even if we're no match for our opponent. There's no need to worry too much, Shado told Diego. The Dragon Man nodded in response. That being said, they secretly moved closer to the secret space entrance just in case. They would retreat at first notice if the situation was disadvantageous towards them. There was absolutely no reason for them to stay behind. Shado and Diego didn't realize that Miao Yitzi was just as surprised as they were. This isn't right. This soul activity cannot possibly belong to Ma Feng and the others. It cannot be them, she thought to herself. Chill shone through her eyes despite her personal thoughts. Miao Yitzi lifted her head slightly and declared with a prideful snort, "When my allies arrive, I will wipe out both the lizard race and the Dragon Man race." She had no idea who or what was moving towards them, so she tried to scare Shado and Diego away. If she succeeded, the newcomer was all she needed to contend with. As expected, her words terrified Shado and Diego even more. They moved even closer to the secret space entrance and got ready to leave at any moment. Wait! This presence doesn't feel like a human's. Diego suddenly came to realization. The human race is friendly with a couple of races, Shado said. Not recently, no. The giant dragon man narrowed his eyes and thought for a moment. I heard from the giant dragon race that the humans have incited the ire of many races. In fact, many powerful races had alienated the human race. The Dragon Man race was a result of the giant dragon race's messy experiments. They could be thought as an inferior breed of the giant dragon race. Their connection with the giant dragon race was how they were able to learn about the latest movements in the galaxy. It's not a human, and the human race is butting heads with the other races. So that means this newcomer may have nothing to do with this woman. Shado's eyes lit up. Patience. We can decide what to do after the newcomer arrives, Diego said. The duo stopped in front of the secret space entrance after the brief exchange. They waited for the terrifying being to show up. Miao Yitzi immediately realized that the two foreigners weren't as dumb as she thought they were when she saw the suspicion in their eyes. You'd best destroy that secret space entrance while you can, or I'll come back and enter your realm through it. Miao Yitzi frowned and got ready to leave when she noticed that her plan had failed. She no longer wanted to know what kind of powerful being was headed towards them. She was well versed in many spatial secret arts. She was confident that she could escape Shado and Diego with ease. However, this newcomer's soul activity was too terrifying even for her. She was worried that she might not be able to escape its clutches if escape was necessary. Especially since her allies hadn't responded to her cry for help. She didn't wish to push her luck any further. However, a faint whistle reached her just as she was about to leave. Hiss, hiss, hiss. Suddenly, Shado, Diego, and Miao Yitzi felt like their soul had been trapped by an invisible cover. Next, a shrill noise that pierced their eardrums caused their very souls and minds to quake. Both Miao Yitzi and the two foreign races experts had to clutch their heads and construct many soul barriers to protect themselves from the soul-extinguishing noise. Miao Yitzi didn't realize that Xianxia's 100,000s of soul tentacles had reached them before his avatar. These invisible soul tentacles descended from above and formed a gigantic net that could only be seen with the soul. The soul net trapped all three of them in one place. They had no choice but to defend themselves with their soul power. Xianxia's soul beast avatar charged towards them in a straight line. Boom, boom. Many giant meteorites exploded the moment they came into contact with the soul beast avatar. The ugly but terrifyingly powerful soul beast charged towards them like a calamity capable of destroying the starry sky. Its thorns were sharp enough to cut the meteorites into bits. He arrived at the blank space between the three cultivators while they were still busy suppressing the abnormalities happening inside their souls. What kind of life form is that? Shadow screamed. Diego's expression had also changed drastically. Qianlai's green, dark pupils shone with ruthlessness and cruelty. The first thing he targeted was the secret space entrance next to Shadow and Diego. Two green beams exited his eyes like meteors. The secret space entrance. Diego reacted. Shadow also looked behind it. However, the soul energy that had been attacking them suddenly grew several times stronger. Blood instantly popped out of Diego and Shadow's eyeballs. Many eerie holes suddenly appeared and swelled all over their souls. These holes were a creation of Soul Beast's bloodline ability, soul devouring. Like black holes in space, their function was to extract their target souls. Diego and Shadow instantly lost 1/10 of their souls. At this point, none of them could spare the effort to protect the secret space entrance. All they could do was to gather their soul power and try their best to stop the pitch-black holes from draining away their souls. The two green beams that looked like soul chains flew towards the secret space entrance. Qianlai's goal was to freeze the secret space entrance and cut off their escape paths. Whoosh! Suddenly, a bolt of white lightning zapped towards the secret space entrance. It was none other than Miao Yitzi. She was trying to enter the lizard race's realm. From the moment Qianlai arrived and locked down this entire space with a soul net, pressuring her, Diego, and Shadow so hard that they could barely lift a finger. She knew that her idea of escaping this place with a spatial secret art was probably a pipe dream. She knew that the secret space entrance was probably the one and only way she could safely escape right beneath Qianlai's nose. She believed that a realm dominated by lizardmen was probably much, much safer than anywhere near this strange creature. That was why she did everything in her power to pass through the secret space entrance at top speed while Qianlai was attacking Diego and Shadow. Miao Yitzi summoned all of her spirit energy and flew at top speed. Since she was faster than Qianlai's green beams, escape was definitely a possibility. However, just as she was about to reach the secret space entrance, one of the green beams suddenly transformed into a human figure. It was a young man with violent eyes and a cool, crazed expression. It was Qianlai from 300 years ago. Miao Yitzi's eyes suddenly turned fully red just as she was about to pass into the lizard race's realm. Qianlai! The cold lightning came to an abrupt stop. The space where Miao Yitzi was suddenly became frozen like ice. It was a space restriction art. Swoosh! The other green beam finally passed through the secret space entrance. While Miao Yitzi was glaring at the fake Qianlai with cold eyes, the illusion suddenly elongated and turned back into a green beam. The second green beam also passed through the secret space entrance. ZZZT. The two green beams connected with one another. A few seconds later, the secret space entrance Shadow, Diego, and Miao Yitzi put high hopes on was sealed off by a layer of green light. Their last escape path was cut off entirely. Who are you? Who the hell are you? When Miao Yitzi finally came to herself, the secret space entrance had already been sealed. Suddenly, she turned towards Qianlai's soul beast avatar and questioned loudly in a harsh tone. Do you hate him so much? Qianlai the soul beast spoke in a strange way that sounded like a raspy, low growl. All I did is enter your soul consciousness and recreate the person who left the deepest impression in your mind with my soul tendrils. The person that left the deepest impression in my mind. At first, Miao Yitzi was confused by his claim. Then, she suddenly screamed uncontrollably, "It can't be him! There's no way he could possibly be the person who left the deepest impression in my mind. But it is a fact that you gave up your one and only possible chance of escape because of his illusion," Qianlai said cruelly and mockingly. Who's he? He's probably your lover, isn't he? My lover? How can he possibly be my lover? He's the person I hated and scorned the most, Miao Yitzi shouted uncontrollably. Let us go. Please let us go. Shadow was clutching his head and as blood flowed down his eyes. He begged pitifully. The lizard race has no grudge with you. Please don't treat us this way. I am the descendant of the giant dragon race's chief, Affleck. He will sense my death if you kill me. Diego threatened angrily. Affleck was the current chief of the giant dragon race. It was rumored that this old dragon was an obscene fellow who had bred countless mixed blood in his wake. Perhaps the reason a mere dragonman like Diego was able to come as far as he did was all thanks to Affleck's bloodline. Affleck's descendant, you say? Xianxia's bluish-green eyes glowed with deep interest. That's a very, very good bloodline you have them. In that case, I'll kill you first. You dare to kill me, he will not forgive you. No matter where you hide, he will find you and tear you apart. Blood spilled uncontrollably out of Diego, the dragonman's eyes. His soul power was slowly being consumed by soul-devouring latent ability of Soul Beast. Diego panicked. He knew nothing about soul beasts. In the past, he had never come into contact with soul beasts before. When Xianxia's soul beast avatar displayed soul devouring, he found black holes appearing deep within his soul. Those holes slowly sucked away his soul energy. The vast soul power he accumulated through thousands of years quickly slipped away. He was unable to do anything about it. He knew that if he let Xianxia do as he wished and let those black holes absorb his soul energy, he would die. The giant dragon race wasn't a race skilled in soul combat. Then what about the Dragonman race, mere offshoots? He did all he could think of to destroy the black holes made out of soul threads. He wanted to break free of Xianxia's encroachment of his soul. But everything he tried was ineffective. He could only put his hopes on Affleck's reputation. However, Xianxia did not feel any fear towards the giant dragon race chief, Affleck. From Diego's perspective, the strange beast's eyes seemed to show great interest instead. Xianxia's soul beast avatar moved and targeted him first. A 100 meters long and 30 meters wide scythe created from the spine of a lord of the abyss suddenly flew out of the soul beast's abdomen. The white bones the scythe was made of were sharp and clear like jade. Waves of vicious, bloodthirsty, and savage aura were being exuded from its edge. The surface of the white bone scythe was also covered in the purple blood of another lord of the abyss. The bloodstains were filled with a restless and negative presence. Kaka! Kakaka! As the scythe cut towards Diego, the bone pieces gave off strange sounds as they rubbed against each other. That sound had the power to confuse the soul. Diego gazed at the enormous white bone scythe. Suddenly, he seemed to see a living lord of the abyss roaring towards him. Savagery, bloodthirst, murderousness. Waves of negative emotions flooded him. Every drop of blood in him seemed to tremble. This was terror that originated from his bloodline. It was clear even the giant dragon bloodline that came from Affleck had no advantage against the purple blood presence on the white bone. The bloodline of the Abyss Devils was on the same level as the bloodline of the God race, the Soul race, and the Spirit race. Diluted dragon race bloodline paled in comparison. This kind of bloodline disadvantage caused Diego's bloodline to instinctively feel terror. The terror of the blood immediately spread through his body and drowned his mind. He could not display his full prowess. Seeing the white bone scythe about to hit him, Diego's soul power was still being devoured. His mind was lost and he was on the verge of collapse. Spatial shatter. At this time, Miao Yitzi, who had nearly lost control, suddenly calmed down and gathered her power to interfere. Thin, fine cracks appeared in the part of space the white bone scythe was cutting towards. These cracks affected the spatial currents. When the spatial rifts appeared, that enormous white bone scythe seemed to be restrained by them. The bones of the Abyss Devil, which made up the white bone scythe, immediately became intangible as it was being pulled by the spatial current. The spatial currents usually occurred outside of the realms but still inside the spatial crystal barrier. That place was not the true outer space. Any realm which possessed nature spirit energy would have spatial currents on the outer layer. The rumors had it that the spatial currents around the realms were all connected. However, no one could prove this. Miao Yitzi, who was skilled in spatial power, used spatial power to create spatial rifts in the space. Those rifts drove the scythe into the spatial current circulating around spirit realm. She did this to stop the white bone scythe from cutting Diego. She trapped the white bone scythe. Another reason was to use the terrifying sharpness that the white bone scythe had to create those spatial rifts under her spatial secret arts direction. She was creating a new path of escape for herself. She attempted to use those spatial rifts to jump directly back into the spatial current leading to spirit realm and return this way. When she saw Qianlai's shadow, she thought that this strange being had pulled it from her memories and created it using soul threads. She gradually calmed down. She, who had reached the late stage of the void realm and had a 6th-level soul altar, had no hope of victory against Qianlai's soul beast avatar in space. Diego and the lizard Shadow were even weaker than her. She knew that these two would be even less likely to be a match for this beast. Therefore, from beginning to end, she had no thought of staying to fight. I will find out who you are. I will take this white bone scythe back to spirit realm and find a specialist to examine it. Miao Yixi's voice suddenly became light and ethereal. Her body gradually turned blurry, as though she was transforming into a wisp of smoke to disappear. Qianlai's eyes, burning with green flames, suddenly shot out millions of green threads that spread outwards. He immediately saw Miao Yixi's body seem to be covered in countless spatial rifts, as though she was affected by the strange spatial laws. Countless spatial rifts seemed to cut her body into thousands of pieces and pull them into the spatial rift. This was clearly an extremely advanced spatial escape art. Even the white bone scythe he released was also becoming intangible, as though it would slowly disappear from this region of space. He knew that Miao Yixi's spatial art was affecting that white bone scythe and was going to pull it along the spatial current to spirit realm. As expected, she's much stronger than these two foreign experts, he murmured. Diego and Shadow knew nothing about the soul. Under soul-devouring latent ability of Soul Beast, Qianlai easily created countless black holes in Shadow and Diego's soul lakes. Those black holes were the manifestation of the soul devouring. He also attacked Miao Yixi with the same method. However, Miao Yixi's soul lake formed patches of restrictive boundaries. He was not able to create the black holes in there immediately. He could not devour Miao Yixi's soul. This proved that Miao Yixi had a deep understanding of the soul. She guarded against him, and he was unable to easily devour her soul. The soul progenitor of the human race. He taught them about the soul and its secrets. Due to this, the human race gradually discovered the secrets of soul altars, producing many soul altar experts, officially rising to the fight for the hegemony in the spirit realm. A string of thoughts flashed through his mind. Qianlai suddenly realized that the human race's knowledge of the soul was much greater than the lizard race and the dragonman race. He also understood that trying to restrain Miao Yixi, who was in the late stage of the void realm, having 6th-level soul altar, was not going to be so easy. Soul attachment. A strand of soul made with the dark soul latent ability attached itself into the white bone scythe, not detected by Miao Yixi. Qianlai's soul beast avatar let the white bone scythe slowly disappear into the spatial rifts. He also allowed Miao Yixi to leave. Even when the spatial rifts healed, he did not pursue her. On the other battlefield, his true body used the celestial ceiling demon diagram to capture Ma Feng, Gong Shengyuan, and Zhuo Weidan. The mysterious ancient diagram that appeared in the space seemed to create its own domain. In that space, Ma Feng and the others could not leave, regardless of the secret art they used. They could only endure the barrage of attacks from Teng Yuan and the other 5 experts. Outside the area of the diagram's effect, Qianlai, who sat on the demon ceiling tombstone, watched as Ma Feng and the other 2 were torn and bloodied by the 6 peak experts of Baluo realm. An hour later, Ma Feng and the others were on their last breaths. They completely lost hope of escape. I will give these 3 to you. After saying this, Qianlai's true body opened the star door with bloodline power. In a flash, he appeared where the soul beast avatar was. At this time, Diego of the dragonman race and Shadow of the lizard race were almost completely consumed by his soul beast avatar. The 2 foreign races had no spirit in their eyes. Pinned down by the claws of the soul beast, they had no ability to fight back. Let's first try the giant dragon patriarch's bloodline. Drops of blood were pulled out of Diego's blood vessels and landed on his palm. The flesh on his palm split open and was going to absorb Diego's blood. ZZZT. The surging flames suddenly burned from his palm and ignited Diego's bloodline, burning it away. At the same time, a strange feeling came from within his bloodline. The bloodline isn't pure. He immediately reacted. Diego's blood was a hybrid of the giant dragon race Chief Affleck and humans. Diego's dragon bloodline just wasn't pure enough. The perfect blood Xianxia wasn't able to assimilate a bloodline like this. His bloodline clearly repelled this kind of impure bloodline. If Diego is not compatible, Shadow, who is also a hybrid, is even less likely to be good enough. Xianxia was secretly disappointed. Seeing that he could not assimilate the bloodline of the duo, he could only refine the bodies of these two through the demon-sealing tombstone. While Diego and Shadow were not as powerful as Miao Yitzi, because they were from foreign races and contained the giant dragon race and giant lizard race bloodlines, their fleshly energy was abundant. Miao Yitzi's strength came from the spirit energy in her spirit sea. But in terms of fleshly energy, she was far weaker than the two. The demon-sealing tombstone hovered over the two foreigners' heads. Xianxia could see the thick fleshly energy stream into the demon-sealing tombstone like two bloody rivers. This caused the demon-sealing tombstone to be filled to the brim. The demon-sealing tombstone's purpose was to store refined flesh and blood energy. The stronger the living being, the more refined flesh and blood energy it could harvest from their bodies. The two foreign races experts Shadow and Diego were probably at the middle stage of the Void Realm or 5-level Soul Altar if their strength were to be assessed by the human race's standards. They would be practically invincible in the land of chaos. As descendants the giant dragon race and giant lizard race's bloodlines, both Shadow and Diego possessed a tremendous amount of refined flesh and blood energy. Xianxia was very excited to refill the demon-sealing tombstone. The demon-sealing tombstone's refined flesh and blood energy was usable on both him and the 8 god corpses. The 8 god corpses could feed on the refined flesh and blood energy and grow stronger and stronger. He could swiftly replenish his own strength after he had exhausted his bloodline powers even during battle. The artifact was so powerful it was almost obscene. Xianxia's astonishment grew as the two foreigners looked more and more skinny. The fact that the demon-sealing tombstone was able to refine experts' flesh and blood energies fully made him suspect its true origin. This artifact has to be incredibly precious even among the god race, he thought to himself. His real self used the demon-sealing tombstone to refine flesh and blood energies, while the soul beast avatar extracted the two foreigners' refined soul energy. It wasn't long before the two most famous experts of the Dragonman race and lizard race were turned into two utterly worthless piles of dead bones. It was only then that he looked at the secret space entrance covered by a green film of light. The lizard race's realm was probably on the other side of the secret space entrance. He could invade their realm right now if he wanted to. The lizard race, he frowned deeply. He had interacted with the Dragonman race and lizard race back at the ruined lands. Not only was he hounded by Qi Yen of the lizard race and Gu Tuo of the Dragonman race back when he first entered the ruined lands, they were also the reason why he had to run away. That humiliating incident had prompted him to investigate the Dragonman race and lizard race for a time. The Dragonman race was supported by the giant dragon race. Many dragonmen were mixed bloods, descendants of the naturally lecherous giant dragons. All those descendants that couldn't evolve into a giant dragon were dumped at the Dragonman realm and given the treatment of a second-class vassal force. Therefore, he would definitely earn the ire of the giant dragon race if he invaded their realm recklessly. The lizard race was rumored to be the descendants of a giant lizard who was related to the giant dragons and other weaker races by blood. That giant lizard seemed to be watching the lizard race from a secret realm somewhere in the giant lizard race's realm. It was as powerful as a Genesis realm expert. I should keep a low profile for now. I don't want the soul beast to be exposed and attacked by the races. He pondered for a moment and decided not to pass through the secret space entrance. By now, Teng Yuan and the others should have taken out the Lunar Temple and Sun Palace martial practitioners already. Perhaps Ma Feng had even become Teng Yuan's food already. Miao Yitzi. Both his real body and his soul beast avatar's eyes glowed at once. In another part of the chaotic streams of space, Miao Yitzi flew quickly through a whirlpool of distorted space energy. The whirlpool was covered in many spatial cracks big enough to be seen with a naked eye. A huge white bone scythe slowly came out from within. Boom! The white bone scythe was ultimately pulled free from the whirlpool due to her spatial powers. The weapon's true self was revealed in the chaotic streams of space. The scent of violence, bloodthirst, and murder flowed out of every inch of the sharp, giant tool of murder. Even Miao Yitzi was affected by the white bone scythe. She felt irritated and tempted to commit slaughter. She immediately understood that this scythe was no ordinary weapon. This mission is probably a failure. Miao Yitzi looked a little depressed. She, Ma Feng, and the others had spent several years traveling through the galaxy in an attempt to build a secret realm entrance at Baluo Realm. However, an unexpected change had occurred just as they were about to reach their destination. She had run into the Lizard Race and Dragonman Race's secret space entrance. Ma Feng and her other companions never responded to her cry for help. She thought that it wasn't a coincidence. It has to be those foreigners from Baluo Realm, she guessed. Manipulating the white bone scythe using her spatial powers, Miao Yitzi flew towards a dangerous area filled with turbulent spatial energies. Dozens of seconds later, a secret spatial passage appeared in response to her spatial art. She slowly squeezed through the spatial passage while carrying the white bone scythe with her. It wasn't long before she appeared in a beautiful secret realm. This secret realm had a warm weather and 7 different colors of light flying across the bright sky. Their presence made the secret realm look dreamlike and beautiful. It was slightly smaller compared to the Graveyard of Gods, and it wasn't a complete realm. Therefore, it could never give birth to world spirit energy or life of its own. The entire secret realm looked like a giant garden. A lot of strange flowers and plants that could grow without any world spirit energy had been brought over by Miao Yitzi. There was also a translucent lake at the center of the secret realm. Many tower-like palaces built using pentacolored crystals could be seen around the area. This secret realm was filled with feministic elements and beauty. Several young girls about a dozen years old dressed in clean white dresses could be seen playing or sitting quietly at the crystalline palaces. Master's back! The girls immediately cheered happily and waved at Miao Yitzi when they saw her approaching. Miao Yitzi was normally cold and ruthless. However, the trace of a relaxed smile could be seen around her eyes after she had returned to this tiny secret realm. After Miao Yitzi had discovered this secret realm, she spent tens of years changing it into its current appearance. All the girls in this place were orphans she took under her wing. She had taught them spatial spirit arts and cultivation. These girls seldom left this secret realm, and they relied on the spirit stones she left behind to cultivate. They were unaware of the evils of the world. Master, have you completed your mission? You did, right? A young girl with a ponytail and round face ran over. She looked very cute when she smiled with eyes that looked like crescents. Miao Yitzi had just landed when the girl asked impatiently, is this giant white bone scythe your spoils of war this time? The young girl's face suddenly turned white when she got close to the scythe. She clutched her chest and took a few steps backwards. Her realm was insufficient. She was so weak that she couldn't even endure the lingering presence of Lord of the Abyss on the scythe. You can say that. Miao Yitzi smiled. However, my mission had ended in failure. What happened? The girls surrounded her and chattered away. Someone probably leaked the news that we were going to Baluo Realm. We ran into trouble before we even reached Baluo Realm. Miao Yitzi explained briefly before moving on to the girls' troubles. She helped solve many of their cultivation problems. After that, she sealed the white bone scythe with her spatial powers and went to a square in front of the crystalline palace made of white jade. A lot of strange space spirit stones could be seen at the center of the square. They were arranged in a strange manner that obviously identified them as part of a secret space formation. She placed the white bone scythe on the wide square using her powers. The chattering girls spread out at the edges of the square and stared interestedly at the white bone scythe. I'm going to ask Great Master Tianqi to identify this scythe's origin, Miao Yitzi said seriously. The spatial spirit stones on the white jade square suddenly lit up like stars. The white bone scythe on the square became covered by many ripples of space energy. It looked like it had just fallen into another space. Strangely enough, the white bone scythe was still visible to everyone present despite that. An old, yellowish hand gripped the white bone scythe placed at the center of the overlapping space and inspected it. White lightning could be seen firing out of the hand's fingertips and entering the white bone scythe. A while later, the odd ripple of energy stopped, and the overlapping space vanished as well. The giant white bone scythe could be seen sitting quiet at the square. A sole thought came from the final space anomaly on the square. This scythe has never been seen in Spirit Realm or any of the realms we're familiar with. It's probably an unknown object. However, I had sensed the presence of Azura Realm's Dark Soul Beast inside it. So I'm guessing that the powerful being you encountered in the galaxy is a surviving remnant of the Dark Soul Beast. An unknown object. Dark Soul Beast. Miao Yitzi exclaimed. This scythe could belong to the soul race, but it could be something entirely different too. At any rate, I've personally never seen it until today. The person on the other side chose his words carefully for a moment before continuing. Maybe Grandfather Qin would know about its origin. If you can contact your senior brother, you... Enough! Miao Yitzi cut him off. She even extinguished the final space anomaly on the white jade square. Her eyes were obviously filled with frustration and irritation. Master, that scythe is evil. It may be affecting your emotions. The ponytail girl hurriedly reminded her master. Miao Yitzi nodded slightly. I know. You should all stay away from it. Now go cultivate somewhere else, will you? I need to think about something alone. All right. The girls didn't try to disturb her because they all knew that she was feeling unwell. They obediently left the white jade square. When Miao Yitzi was finally alone, she hesitated for a moment before taking out something. There was a flash, and a jade tablet engraved with many secret space patterns appeared in her hand. She stared at the jade tablet for a very, very long time. She didn't notice that a soul beast's refined soul was beginning to stir inside that giant white bone scythe.